A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, the only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to narcotics detail. A steady flow of heroin has been making its way into your city. Most of it has fallen into the hands of teenagers. You don't know the source or the head man of the operation. Your job, stop it. The modern way to sell cigarettes is the Chesterfield way. Premium quality in both regular and king size. And we're the only one that gives it to you.
Premium quality in a cigarette means the world's best tobaccos, the best ingredients, the best cigarette paper. Only Chesterfield gives you this premium quality in both popular sizes.
King-size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king-size cigarette. Well, that's certainly important to every king-size smoker. Of course, it's the same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield. There is absolutely no difference, except that king-size Chesterfield gives you more than a fifth longer smoke.
Yes, the modern way to sell cigarettes is the Chesterfield way. Premium quality, both regular and king size.
Chesterfield is much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, April 6th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of narcotics detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Kearney. My name's Friday. I'd just gotten off work, and I'd gotten a call from a friend who wanted to see me. It was 5:46 p.m. when I got to my apartment house. Apartment 12.
Hi, Joe.
Oh, Ed? Just getting ready to go in. Come on in.
Caught you.
Go ahead.
Thanks.
Sit down.
You got a date or something?
No, it's all right. I just thought I'd get something to eat and then maybe take in the show. What do you want to see me about?
It's about Gary, Joe.
Your boy?
Yeah, I don't know quite how to say it.
Yeah, well, you sounded pretty upset on the phone, Ed.
I was, Joe. I still am. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, come on. What's it all about?
It's all I could do to keep my hands off him. I never felt like that with anybody before, but I did with Gary. I wanted to strangle him.
All right, now what's he done, Ed?
He's a dope addict, Joe.
Well, that's a pretty serious thing to say, Ed. Are you sure about that?
I am now. First, I couldn't believe it, but tonight Helen and I went through his room. We found this. Here.
Uh-huh.
Open it. See?
Yeah. Looks like a layout.
I couldn't find any drugs in it. I know that he's using them, though.
Spoon, eyedropper, needle. Yeah, everything's here. Where'd you find this, Ed?
In his room. Had it hidden up on the shelf in his closet. I found it tonight. I didn't know what to do, Joe. Helen's been crying all day. She's almost out of her mind. You were the only one I could think of coming to. Who do you talk to when you find out your son's an addict?
Well, now, Ed, are you sure this is his in the first place, that he's been using it?
Yeah, I'm sure. I never would have believed it. Not Gary. There's no reason for it. We've given the kid everything he wanted. There's nothing he didn't have. Good home. Helen and I have always tried to understand his problems. Always looked at them like they were important. Everything. We gave him everything. Now this. I don't know what to do, Joe. I got no place to turn. There's nothing I can do. Maybe you can figure a way. Maybe you can't. I don't much care anymore. I just know that I can't see him again. Not for a while. I'm afraid, Joe. I'm real afraid.
All right, now, let's take it easy, Ed. We'll work this out some way.
You don't know what it's like, Joe. You can't. To feel like this and to know you'll do it.
What?
I see him again, Joe. I'm going to kill him.
I'd known Ed Field for the past 7 years. I'd met him when we were conducting an investigation while I was assigned to Bunko Division. His testimony had been instrumental in breaking up a gang of shoplifters. Since then, we'd become very good friends. He lived just down the street from my apartment, and on occasion we got together for an evening. I knew his wife, and I'd met his 18-year-old son, Gary. The boy was a senior in high school, and as Ed had told me many times, his grades were well above average. The Field family was moderately well-to-do. Their home wasn't luxurious, but it was good-sized. To look at the boy, there was nothing that would cause anybody to think that he might be a user. 6:12 p.m. Field and I arrived at his home. Helen Field was waiting for us. She was a nice-looking woman in her early 40s. She let us in the house and showed us to the living room. It was obvious that she'd been crying.
I don't know how to thank you for coming over, Joe. I guess Ed told you what it's all about.
Yes, Helen, he did.
Is Gary home yet?
No, I haven't heard a word from him since he left.
I didn't tell Joe what happened this afternoon. Thought it'd be better if he got it from you.
Oh, all right. You want to sit down, Joe?
Sure.
I'll tell you.
Thank you.
Well, Gary came home this afternoon about 2:30.
Mm-hmm.
Walked into the house and went right to his room. He didn't say a thing to me. First, I thought that maybe he might be sick. I went to the room and he'd locked the door. I knocked. Asked him if he was all right.
Yeah.
He called through the door that he was okay and for me to leave him alone. I asked him if there was anything I could do. You know, if he was sick, he might need something.
I understand. What did he say?
Told me to get away. To leave him alone and get off his back. Those were his exact words. Leave him alone and get off his back.
Mm-hmm.
About 20 minutes later, he unlocked the door and came out. He seemed to feel fine. He came over and kissed me and said he was sorry about what he'd said. Said that he hadn't been feeling well and that he'd said those things without meaning them. Mm-hmm. I told him that he ought to wait until I could take his temperature. He said there was nothing wrong. For me to get out of his way. That he had some business to take care of and be home for dinner. I tried to stop him from leaving, and he pushed me aside. He knocked me down.
Get my hands on him, I'll teach him.
He stood there for a minute, and I thought he was going to cry. But he just turned around and walked out.
Well, you any idea where he might have gone? What this business was that he was going to take care of?
No, not the slightest idea.
You can see what we're up against, Joe. I'm afraid to even see the boy.
Yeah. When did you first figure that he might be using narcotics?
When I came home, Helen told me what had happened. I thought about what would make the kid do a thing like this. The more I thought about it, the more there had to be only one reason. That's when Helen and I went through his room and found that kit.
Mm-hmm. Has the boy been ill at all lately? Under a doctor's care? Something that you might not know about?
No. I'm sure that if he was, we'd know about it.
I want to see you, Gary.
Yeah, I'll be right with you.
I want to see you right now.
You'll have to wait.
Maybe there's something wrong with your ears, son. I'm not going to take that from you.
Please, Ed, don't do something you're going to regret.
Now listen, Helen, that boy's 18 years old. For all that time, we've done everything we could for him. We've given him a lot more than most boys his age have. I'm not going to stand by and see it all blow up just because he's a kid. That's no excuse. I want an answer for all this. What he's been doing, what happened this afternoon. I want those answers, and I want them now.
Remember, he's only a boy.
And I'm getting sick of that, too.
Where is it?
Now, listen, boy, I know what's been going on. I want to talk to you about it.
I don't want you to lecture me. All I want to know is where's the kid.
Take it easy, son.
What are you doing here?
I asked him to come over.
You didn't turn me in, huh?
Your dad asked me to come over and see if I could help here.
I don't need nothing from you, cop. I want the layout. Where is it?
You aren't going to use that anymore.
I want the layout. I got to have it. Where is it?
Please, Gary, don't get your father any more mad than he is.
I don't care how sore he is or how sore he gets. I want the layout. I want it now. I can't think of any more simple way to say it. If I have to take it away from you, then I'll do it your way.
You lousy bum. I'll teach you to talk to me.
All right, take it easy, Ed. This isn't going to get you anywhere. Now, come on, settle down, both of you.
Get out of here. Get him out of here. Joe, I swear I'll break him in two.
Please, Ed, Joe, do something.
Let him go. It's about time he found out I'm old enough to call things my way. Go on, let him go. I'm not afraid of him. I'm not afraid of you either, cop. I'm not worried about anybody. All I want is that kit. I gotta have it. I got it. I'll give it to me and we can talk then. I gotta have it fixed. I got it.
Joe. Do something, please.
All right, come on, sit down. Sit down, boy. This has gone far enough here. Let's get a few things straight. You're not going to have any more of that. We'll see that a doctor looks at you. He'll do what he can, but you've had it. No more narcotics for you, now face it. You want me to tell you where you stand? You're a user. Any way you slice it, this had to happen.
I don't want anything from you. Why don't you just leave me alone?
I can't do that. Let me see your arm. Come on, roll up your sleeve.
Do what he says, Gary.
Yeah. Both arms, huh?
I'd take a joy pop once in a
Now,
while.
don't con me, Gary. You got it bad, and it's going to get worse. You didn't get that arm from chipping with the stuff. The kit we found. You don't need a layout that big to joy pop. You've been mainlining it for quite a while. I know it, and so do you. You holding now? Come on, boy, answer me. You holding now?
Yeah?
Well, let's have it.
I'm not going to give it to you.
You got no choice, son. Either you give it to me or I'll take it.
All right, here it is.
How big a habit you got?
Not big.
How big?
Couple of bucks.
Now, come on, boy. Let's have a straight answer.
$25 a day.
$25 a day. That's a lot of narcotics, isn't it?
That's what it takes.
Where's it come from? Come on. Who's your connection?
You maybe got me, but I'm not going to be a fink. You got to let me go at that.
I can't do that. Now, where'd you get this stuff?
How about that doctor? You going to do something about
We'll
that?
talk to him.
Talking to him ain't going to do any good. I got to have a fix. I'm making it fall apart. Come on now, be a pal. Let me have a fix. I'll tell you all about it then. You got the kit. You got the stuff. Come on, be a sport.
No
huh?
go. You can't do it. Come on, let's go downtown.
You're going to take him to jail, Joe?
I'll take him down to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. The doctor can look at him there. We're going to have to hold him for a while in this field.
Why'd you do it, Gary? Why? Can't you tell me? Is it something your father and I have done? There's got to be a reason. What is it? Oh, please, Gary, tell me.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Can we see him after he gets there, Joe?
Yeah, I'll call you, Ed.
Don't you want to say goodbye to your mother, son?
Why? It wouldn't prove anything.
Yeah, I guess that's the way you'd look at it.
I broke the law. Now they're going to make a convict out of me. I didn't call him. You did. How are you going to explain that to her? You turn your own son in. How are you going to tell her about it? I hope you're real happy now.
I'm not proud of it, son. There's one thing I'd like to ask.
Yeah.
What have you done to her?
8:30 p.m. I called Frank Smith and filled him in on what had happened. He said that he'd meet me at Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. I took young Gary Field down with me and had a doctor check him over. After that, the boy was taken to the narcotics division, and Frank and I talked to him.
I don't know how to tell you any better. Isn't any other way to say it. I'm not going to give you any names.
That's not going to help you any, son.
So it won't help me. Won't get any of my friends in trouble.
Well, you got great friends, haven't you? Now, where'd you get the money to take care of your habit?
I earned it.
Where?
I work.
Where'd you work?
Look, it's getting late. That stuff the doctor gave me didn't do any good. I still need a fix now. I'm getting sick. Do what you got to do. Let's get this over with.
Now, look, this is going to be the same in the morning, son. We're going to keep asking questions till you come up with the right answers.
Look, cop, I don't want any favors from you. Now leave me alone.
We're only trying to help you, boy.
Oh, get off my side. I need nothing from you. You saw your duty and you did it. That makes you a big man, huh? I know you'll both make lieutenant. Now beat it,
All
huh?
right, that's enough of that. Now, there's a couple of things we'd like to set you straight on. Maybe help you to figure where you stand in this.
Oh, here it comes. What do they do? Give you a license to preach when they hand you the badge?
That's enough of that, youngster.
Come on, get off my back, cop. If my old man hadn't turned thick, you'd never have got me.
Where are you going?
I'm getting out of
now,
here.
sit down. Sit down. All right, young fella, you want to be a big man? That's the way it's going to be. I'm going to tell you that you get no special treatment here because I know your parents. You'll be treated just like any other user. You're getting a little of the edge because you're a youngster. There's not a pound of honesty or integrity in your distorted mind. The simple way would be to drop you in a cell and let you sweat out the cure, let you fall apart if you had to. Let me tell you this. We're going to get the connection that's been supplying you, and then we're going to get the man behind him. I don't much care about them, but I do care about the kids around you. You've got a big habit. It takes a lot of money to keep up a habit like that. I've seen kids like you before, and there's only so many ways to get that money. You steal it or you start pushing narcotics yourself. I don't think you're stealing, so you got to be pushing it. That means that you probably got other kids hooked on it. Other youngsters that have got trouble because of you. Mules that are dragging your wagon for you. Your folks will maybe forgive you for what you've done to them, but they'll never be able to buy what you did to the other kids. You had a chance to help yourself and help the rest of them. You had a chance to do something good for somebody else, and you wouldn't take it. Well, you're playing it smart, big boy. Keep playing it that way when you end up in a jail cell, will you?
You through, cop?
Yeah, I'm through.
Fine, let me get some sleep, huh?
Let's go, Frank.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Friends, you'll remember some months ago we read you our first report, the 6 months report on the effects of smoking. Then more recently, we read you the 8 months report. Now, here is the latest one. The full 10 months report confirms again.
The group examined showed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields.
This from a medical specialist who is making regular bi-monthly examinations of a group of people from various walks of life. 45% of them have smoked Chesterfield for an average of over 10 years.
After 10 full months, the specialist reports he observed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses of the group from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report. Buy much milder Chesterfield, regular or king size. The cigarette that's best for you.
Gary Field was taken to the main jail and booked. Frank and I went back to the office to fill out the arrest reports. The next day, Wednesday, April 7th, we began to talk to Gary's friends and teachers. From all of them, we got the same story. Until 6 months before, the boy had been a model student. He was always at the top scholastically in each of his classes. He was a member of several honorary student organizations and had twice been nominated for president of his class. Then, apparently without reason, the boy's personality had changed. He stopped taking an interest in his schoolwork. Several of his teachers told us that he wouldn't have gotten passing grades at the end of the semester. He dropped out of the service organizations at school. From some of his teachers, we got the names of his close friends. Talks with them netted us little. They told us that Gary had dropped out of the crowd of youngsters that he'd been running with and had taken up with new friends. They told us that they didn't see much of him after school, that he'd gotten into fights with other students on several occasions, and that after a period of time, they'd stopped asking him to their functions. None of them were able to give us the names of his new friends. We checked with the neighborhood merchants. Most of them knew Gary. They said that he'd worked for them after school, but they hadn't seen him for several months. We asked them if they could help us locate his friends. They told us that they had seen him in the company of one particular man on several occasions, but they couldn't identify him for us. We got a description of the man, but it meant nothing to us or to the other members of the narcotics division. Photographs of known narcotic suspects were shown to the parents of Gary Field and to the storekeepers around the school. They couldn't identify any of them. 2 days passed. Friday, April 8th. We got a call from the field boy. Frank and I went over to see him.
What'd you want to see us about, Gary?
I wanted to tell you I've had it.
What's that mean?
Then I want to tell you about it.
What's the matter? You been sick?
A little. That's not why I called you, though. They treated me all right here, but I got to thinking.
All right, go ahead.
I used to read in the papers where the kids would turn themselves in or get caught and cop out. All about how they realized what they'd done. Always seemed like a lot of phony sob sister stuff. I know different now. I know what I've done. I know I got to stand for it. I'm not asking any favors because I know that I've done nothing to call for. I'm not trying to be a hero or a martyr. I just want to help get this thing cleaned up.
One thing I'd like to know, Gary.
What's that?
What made you get started on this stuff? You seem like a kid that has everything you want. You don't look like a kid who'd fall for it.
Who knows? I'd give you 1,000 reasons. They still wouldn't add. I guess I just wanted to be top man all the way around.
How'd you get on it?
Started lushing it up, then the tea, then the heroin. That's the way it runs, isn't it?
Most of the time.
I didn't figure I'd ever be hooked. Thought it couldn't happen to me. How wrong you can be.
How long you had the big habit?
About 6 months. Chippied with it about the same time before then.
Where'd you get the money?
Guess we had to get to that, huh?
That's right. Where'd you get it?
Well, I got some kids pushing the stuff for me. Worked for a while. Wasn't enough. By that time, the kids were hooked themselves. I was the only connection they had. They had to do business with me or do without it.
Yeah?
I told them that if they couldn't pay me in cash, I'd take merchandise. They'd bring it. I'd sell it. That way we both came out all right. They got their H, I got mine.
You mean you got him to steal, that it?
Yeah, I guess so. I never asked where they got the stuff. I just took it and sold it. With that and the stuff they sold for me, I made out.
These kids pushing H for you?
No. Well, they're shoving tea. I sell it to them for 4 bits a stick. They get up to $1.50 for it.
You know where they peddle it?
No, I never asked. All I was interested in was if I got mine.
All right, give us their names, will you?
Guess that's the only way, huh?
That's the only way.
Okay, I'll give them to you.
How about your connection? Who's he?
Guy named Jack?
Jack who?
I don't know, honest. I really don't.
Where'd you meet him?
Drive-in downtown.
Where?
Drive-in at the corner of Reno and Vernon.
How do you set up the meet?
I just go in there between 10 and midnight, park the car and order coffee. He comes over to the car.
You mean that he's always there at that time, huh?
Usually is.
So your only source?
Yeah.
Anyone else pushing it around there?
No, as far as I know. I think he's the only one in the operation.
All right, you'd be willing to arrange a meet with him so we can pick him up?
Yeah, I'll do it.
All right, fine.
Sure want to see the folks. I got so much to make up for.
That's right, you have.
Don't think I'll live long enough to do it all.
9:32 a.m. We got a description of the suspect known as Jack and also the names and addresses of the teenagers involved. Frank and I contacted the juvenile authorities and gave them the information. We went back to our office and had Gary Field check our files of known narcotic suspects. He was unable to give us an identification on Jack. 11:56 a.m. We took the boy to his home and talked with his parents. 12:30 p.m. Frank, Gary Field, and I drove to the corner of Vernon and Reno to check over the drive-in restaurant. It was set up in the usual way with a parking area around the main building for car service. In the rear of the lot was a building housing a cocktail bar, and there were parking spaces in front of that for the bar customers. As we drove past the place, Gary told us that he usually parked around the side of the main building and that this Jack came from the direction of the bar. He was unable to tell us whether the suspect drove a car or not. The plan was for Gary to introduce me as a narcotics buyer who was trying to get a local connection. It was agreed that because of the size of the buy I was to make, it would be necessary for me to deal with the head of the organization. 11:05 p.m. Gary and I got into my car and we drove to the drive-in. Frank followed us in a police unit. We arrived at the meet at 11:14 p.m. Frank stayed in the background and we waited. The suspect failed to make an appearance. The next night, the plan was repeated. Again, nothing. Sunday, April 10th, 10:05 p.m. We arrived at the drive-in. We waited. 11:05 p.m., 11:15, 11:30. No sign of the suspect. Midnight, 12:04 p.m.
Looks like he isn't going to be here.
Thought you said he usually showed up, didn't you?
I don't know what happened. He was always here before.
You sure you got the right drive-in?
Look, Mr. Friday, I know what you're thinking, but I'm telling the truth.
Yeah, you know all this is kind of tough to buy, don't you? 3 nights and he isn't here.
I don't understand. He was always here before. Wait a minute.
Yeah?
Hold it. Yeah, that's him, coming over from the bar.
All right, which one? There's a couple of people coming out
The
there.
big one. Seeing the gray suit, the hat?
Yeah. You sure that's this Jack?
Positive, Mr. Friday.
All right, now you look. You know what you're going to do. Don't let on that anything's wrong here. Remember that nothing's going to happen to you.
I'll remember.
All right, now hold on. He's coming over.
Hi, kid.
Hi, Jack. Been looking for you. Where you been?
All right. Who's your friend?
Oh, yeah, I want to talk to you about him. Wants to do business with you.
What are you talking about? What business?
Look, Jack, he's all right. I know it. Think I'd have brought him here if I didn't know it?
Oh, he's all right. He's a friend of yours. You know the bit, any friend of yours. I don't know what to talk about businesses. I don't know what you're doing here, but I'm here for a cup of coffee.
Better let me talk to him alone.
What are you trying to prove, bringing the guy here? Who is he?
Friend of mine?
Told you once, I told you 1,000 times. Don't ever bring nobody with you, haven't I told you, huh?
Oh, yeah, but he's okay. He wants to make a buy, a big one.
Crazy kid you told him about?
Look, he's okay. I know it. Look, Jack, we both stand to do all right on this. I kind of figured if he bought from you, you might give me a little piece of it. You know, sort of say thanks for the business.
How long you know this guy?
Long time.
How long?
A couple of years.
How come I never seen him before?
He doesn't hang around this part of town.
Well, what's he doing here now?
Like I said, trying to make a buy.
Where'd you meet him?
Before I met you, I used to buy stuff from him. He moved out of town, went up north, does business up there. Last couple of days, I couldn't get in touch with you. I ran into him. He fixed me up. And he told me he wanted to buy it. Right away, I thought of you.
All right, I'll talk to him. But I ain't making no deal.
You just talk to him. You'll find out everything's okay.
All right. You let me do the talking.
Joe, this is Jack, the fellow I was telling you about.
Hi.
Hi. Kidder tells me you're down on business, all right?
Yeah, I'm looking around.
Nice place, L.A. A lot of business to do here. What line you?
Whatever pays me.
Where you from?
Up north.
Mm-hmm. How long you known Gary here?
Now, you listen to me. I haven't got all night to stand around here and guzzle his stale coffee with you. The kid told you what I want. Now, it boils down to one simple question. You want to do business or don't you?
Going kind of fast, aren't you?
I haven't got a lot of time.
I don't like to deal that way.
All right, kid, let's get out of here. Should have known better than to figure on dealing with a small-time operator. I told you that before.
What do you mean by that?
You read it any way you want. Well, let's go, son. See you around, mister.
Hey, hold on. No need to get sore about it. Just have to be careful. You know how it is.
Now, you listen. I was shoving horse when you were playing with marbles. I've outgrown the kid games. I thought I could make a buy. I see I was wrong.
Maybe not.
What?
I said maybe we could do business.
I gotta have it tonight.
How much you need?
I need an ounce. It's gotta be good.
Mm-hmm. I haven't got that much with me.
How much have you got?
I only got 12 bundles with me.
How much?
You gotta understand, this is good stuff.
How much?
Now, look, this is better than you can find any place else.
All right, let's quit playing, huh? What's the tab on it?
$10 a bundle.
All right, I'll take the 12. How soon can you have the rest of it?
When do you want it?
I told you I was in a hurry. Don't you hear good?
Yeah, maybe tomorrow night.
All right, that'll have to do. If it's good quality, I may want some more. How much can you supply?
How much do you need?
Oh, I'll go maybe another ounce.
Mm-hmm. You got the cash for this?
I don't do business any other way.
Wait here, I'll be back.
It's all right, isn't it, Mr. Frank?
Yeah, Gary, everything's fine.
You see where he's going?
No, it's too dark. Don't you worry about it. Frank will see where he goes.
I'll be glad when this is over.
All right, hold it.
Okay, mister, let's see the money.
I got it right here. Let's see the horse.
You got it?
All right, looks all right. Here.
You don't mind if I count this?
No, go right ahead. It's all there. $120, isn't that what you said?
Just to make sure.
Yeah.
50, 70, 90, 110, 120. Yeah, right, it's all here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll see you tomorrow night, huh?
Yeah, sure.
I want to tell you, it's nice to do business with you. It's been a real pleasure.
Well, it works both ways, mister.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope to see a lot more of you.
You will. You're under arrest.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 29th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. In 1952, American smokers bought more Chesterfields than ever before in the history of the industry. Today, sales continue to mount for two big reasons. Chesterfield is the first and only cigarette to give you premium quality in both regular and king size. Only Chesterfield gives you this scientific evidence on the effects of smoking. As we told you earlier, after 10 months, the group examined showed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. Change to Chesterfield yourself. Regular or king size, Chesterfield is much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Gary Richard Field, because of his cooperation, was placed in a hospital for rehabilitation and at the conclusion of his treatment was placed on 3 years probation. The other juveniles involved were handled through the juvenile court and received sentences comparable with his. Jack Alexander Williams was tried and found guilty of violation of the State Narcotic Act, a felony, and was sentenced to the state penitentiary for the term as prescribed by law. Violation of the State Narcotic Act, a felony, is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not more than 6 years in a state prison. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Harry Bartell, Virginia Gregg, Eddie Firestone. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show Tuesday night on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield, either regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight, it's Adventure with Barry Craig, confidential investigator on NBC.
name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Wednesday at 9, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Paul Dubov as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery and suspense and adventure in tonight's story titled, It All Comes Back to Me Now.
She was about medium-sized, brunette, beautiful, and bewildered. She couldn't remember where she'd come from or where she was going. Couldn't remember her own name. Just one thing she could remember. She wanted to commit murder. She was in the office of my boss, Anthony J. Lyon, that Friday morning, sitting there across the desk from him, holding onto her battered purse like it was the last thing in the world she was sure of. What the Lion or I didn't know, she was right.
Oh, Jeffrey, come in. I've been waiting for you.
Morning, Fatso. New client?
Yes, Jeffrey. I think we could call her that. Jeffrey, this is Miss...
That's a very interesting name, Fatso. My name's Regan, Miss.
Well, how do you do, Mr. Regan?
Jeffrey, she has a terrible problem.
Somebody does.
She can't remember her name.
Please, can't you help me? I don't remember anything.
You remember how you got here to our office?
No, not anything.
From when?
From now. Except, there was a door. It said detective agency. I walked in.
Yes. Jeffrey, what are we going to do about Miss Smith?
Smith?
Well, we've got to call her something, haven't we?
All right, Smith.
Jeffrey, this is a matter for the police, a Bureau of Missing Persons. Surely...
No, Miss Lyon, please. Not the police.
What's that?
Oh, please, Mr. Regan, please don't let him call the police.
People who can't remember their names usually can't remember they shouldn't go to the police, Miss Smith.
But Oh.
Look, lady, if you don't want to go to the cops, there's got to be a reason.
Well, then, look at this.
Jeffrey.
.32 caliber revolver, Smith & Wesson. Loaded except for 2 empty shells.
You see, Mr. Regan.
The gun's been fired, Jeffrey?
2 bullets missing. Miss Smith?
I don't know.
Jeffrey, that settles it. We call
Lion, I think Miss Smith hasn't quite finished her story. The gun in her purse isn't the only reason she doesn't want to go to the police. That right, Miss Smith?
Mr. Regan, I try to remember. There was a house somewhere. A small house. I was in a room.
Go on.
No, I can't.
Keep trying, Miss Smith.
I was going somewhere. Alone. I wanted to see someone. I think I was on my way to kill someone.
Fatso, get some water. She's fainted.
Here, water? Jeffrey, don't just stand there. Call an ambulance.
The Lion was right. Miss Smith wasn't just a quick faint. Her breath came in short, hushed spurts, and her pulse was a whisper. Beside her, the battered little purse had fallen open. Inside, $2.17 and a receipt for cab fare. No wallet, no identification. I picked up the receipt. It was dated that morning, Friday, and totaled $3.70. It was a lead. I sent the Lion with Miss Smith in the ambulance and then headed for the main office of the cab company. It took me 2 hours to get what I wanted. The receipt was for cab number 702, one of the new cars the company added, and it was usually driven by one Joseph Rupnick. Another hour passed, and he pulled into the cab stand out front of the main office. Joe Rupnick?
Who else?
Let's drive.
My flag is down. Where to, Mac?
Did you drive a medium-sized brunette this morning, Joe?
It'd be a pleasure.
Think. Fair complexion, good-looking, very good-looking. Carried a little black leather purse. The fare was $3.70.
$3.70, huh? You know, it's a nice fare.
What'll it buy, $3.70?
Well, let's see. $3.70 should ought to take you out to Westwood.
You got a record of your stops today. What about Westwood?
Yeah, I guess I have. Hey, Mac, what do you know? She was lovely, she was engaged, and she used my cab. Oh, what a dish. Bewitched, bothered, and brunette. I seen her, and I'm glad.
Never mind the tone poems. Where did you pick her up?
In Westwood. Where else?
Okay, let's go there.
This is it, Mac. Right here on this corner. She was standing here. Naturally, I stopped.
Naturally. Thanks. See you around.
No, you're welcome, but I'm staying.
Staying where?
Now, look, right here, Mac. Look. You don't have to be a mind reader to spot you for a private eye, shamus, or gumshoe. This means the jackpot. My cab is at your service.
That's your business, Joe. Only keep your flag up.
Shouldn't worry about a thing. Besides, when else do I get a chance to check the horses at Fore?
Joe Rupnick pulled a racing form out of his pocket, and I looked at the place he'd pointed out. According to Joe, Miss Smith had been standing in front of a white one-story building with a two-story sign that said Parker's Service. It was an auto repair shop, a big one, the kind that specializes in foreign cars, custom sedans, and rich customers.
Mr. Parker. Telephone call, Mr. Parker. Yes, sir? And what can I do for you, sir?
I'm looking for a girl. She used to work here.
Sarah? You're looking for Sarah?
About medium-sized, good-looking?
Yeah, that's Sarah. Well, she quit yesterday. She was in here this morning to pick up her check. Me, I'm just taking her place. And it's not a bad job. Not bad at all. Mr. Parker, he's a nice guy. A very nice...
Could you give me...
pardon me just a moment, please. Parker's Service? Yeah, just a moment, please.
Could you give me Sarah's address?
Huh?
Could you give me Sarah's address?
Well, I could check for you. You see, I'm new here and
Sure. By the way, what's Sarah's last name? I've forgotten.
Sarah Hanson. So you didn't know her very well, did you?
Blind date.
Oh, yeah. I understand. And she forgot to give you her address. Sure, I'll find out for you, mister. Glad to.
The girl behind the counter winked at me and went back into the office, and before I could turn around, there was somebody at my elbow. And I had that feeling you get when you know someone's staring down your neck. I turned, and I was right. Tall man, neatly dressed, business suit, about 35. Suntan that spelled 18 holes of golf on Sunday, private club, Chamber of Commerce.
I beg your pardon, sir. Did I overhear you asking for Sarah Hanson?
Maybe you did.
My name's Parker.
Mine's Regan.
I wonder if you'd be kind enough to step into my office.
Okay.
This way, Mr. Regan. You see, I happen to be particularly interested in the girl, Miss Hanson. She's unusually intelligent, a superior worker. I hated to see her leave. Here we are, Mr. Regan. Have a chair. A cigarette?
No, thanks. Let's stick to Miss Hanson.
Oh, yes, Mr. Regan. I was quite curious at your interest in Sarah Hanson. She's not the sort of girl to have many, shall we say, gentlemen friends.
Really? What sort of girl is she?
Well, more on the quiet side. Intelligent, as I've said, and not at all emotional. Sarah was a very
superior worker. Come on, Parker. I haven't got all day. A girl quit her job and you want to know why. Is that it?
Well, I'm curious.
There's more to it than that. I saw 4 secretaries in your front office alone. One named Sarah wasn't that good.
Very well, Mr. Regan. I'm going to tell you the truth. Certain malcontents, certain vicious elements in my organization, irresponsible rumor mongers have been saying that Miss Benson and I... Well, there isn't a word of truth in it.
I'm still listening.
I'm a happily married man, Mr. Regan. You understand what rumors of this sort do to a man.
Go on.
I'm going to put a stop to it. You understand? Once and for all,
Okay. Take it easy, Parker.
I'm sorry I lost my temper, Mr. Regan. This thing has been gnawing at me for months. That's why I finally discharged Miss Hanson.
That's what you've been trying to say. You fired Sarah Hanson. You think that's why I'm here?
Well, yes,
It's just a job, Mr. Parker. We all got to make a living. Somewhere in it, a story was beginning to take shape. Parker apologized again, and I left his private office. Out front, the receptionist had Sarah Hanson's address, and I took it. When I got to the street, Joe Rupnick's cab was still sitting there.
Hop in, Mac. I'm available. You find the gun?
No, but I've got an address.
Great. I got them all lined up for tomorrow at Tanforan. Let's go.
It was past Pico on Bentley. Took us 5 minutes to pull up in front of a bungalow converted into a duplex. I left Joe with his racing form and newspaper and went up to the door that belonged to Sarah Hanson. I rang the doorbell. No answer. I knocked. Same results. The sun was sinking somewhere in the distance, and the early mist, the prelude to fog, was settling in fast. I tried the doorknob. No results. And then something told me to get inside that apartment, to get in with or without a permit, with or without a key. I walked around back until I found a window unlocked. The screen was easy, and I climbed up. My stomach scraped across the windowsill, and I was inside. Dark, dank, stale-smelling air. Something foul and disagreeable. I wanted to turn and leave and get out of the stinking apartment. But I didn't. Instead, I moved slowly along the wall into darkness and fumbled until I hit the light switch. The lights didn't change the smell, but it told a story. Chairs upside down. Picture frame smashed to the floor. 2 dishes broken in 1,000 pieces. And the sofa cushions on top of each other in a corner. The whole place turned upside down, looking like a clapboard shack after a hurricane. I moved into the living room, picking up pieces, searching for anything. And I found something. In front of the imitation fireplace on the carpet, a pool of blood.
Hey, Mac, you okay?
Yeah, Joe.
Look, Mac, I think I got something important.
Be there in a minute.
Never mind. I'll climb through the window. Hey, look, Mac, I want you to take a look at this. I was reading while I was waiting for you.
Early edition of the afternoon paper.
Yeah. Look on page 2. You find it, Mac?
Yeah, I found it. I found it. Story on page 2. The body of a girl found washed up on Will Rogers State Beach, tentatively identified as Sarah Hanson.
This is CBS, and you are listening to tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator, entitled, It All Comes Back to Me Now. CBS brings you many of the most exciting programs on the air. For example, Sundays at 5:30. A face in the shadows, a blood-stained burnous, a beautiful dancing girl may set Rocky Jordan on an exciting adventure in ancient Cairo. Follow Rocky Jordan as he moves through the dangerous streets of the capital of Egypt. Meet Rocky Jordan this Sunday at 5:30 on CBS. And now, back to tonight's story titled, It All Comes Back to Me Now, and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Joe, the cab driver, stepped on the gas, and we headed for the police. I sat in the back seat, the folded newspaper in my lap, and tried to make sense out of a story so twisted even the principal characters no longer made sense. A girl with amnesia hires the Lion and me to help her find herself. She says she remembered wanting to kill someone. She collapses, and I follow a lead to a cab driver, to a repair shop in Westwood, to the home of one Sarah Benson, That was when I read the early afternoon paper which said a girl had been found washed up on Will Rogers State Beach. Her name, Sarah Hanson. It was getting late. Streetlights turned on, traffic jamming and honking its way up Sunset. But that didn't stop Joe Rupnick from hitting 40 between the cars. We made the police station at 6:45. Okay, thanks, Joe. That does it.
What do you think, I'm leaving? Me, a sucker for a mystery? I gotta know how this comes out.
It took me 15 minutes to get to Lieutenant Candid.
Hi, Regan.
Candid, I got a couple of questions.
Regan, I am tired to the very bottom of my large, flat feet. Let's make it tomorrow.
It can't wait.
All right, Regan. What's her name?
Listen, Candid, all I want to know is where you got your identification for Sarah Hanson.
Sarah Hanson, age 27, height 5'4", weight about 117, hair blonde, eyes brown.
Blonde.
That's what I said, wasn't it?
You fished her up off Santa Monica?
Will Rogers State Beach. We didn't find her. Some swimmers did. They called.
You weren't looking for her?
Looking. We didn't know Sarah Hanson from my friend Irma. What's eating you, Regan?
Candid, just tell me something else. Who identified the girl for you?
Only her mother and father and brother and sister, that's all.
Okay, Candid. Sorry I bothered you.
It's all right. We can't find the murder weapon. We haven't got a lead on the killer, and I got to talk to you yet.
She was shot?
2 slugs in her chest. 32s. Maybe Smith & Wesson. Gun's missing.
That part of it wasn't in the papers.
Don't we look bad enough already without making it worse? All we got on this case is a body. Even if it is a nice one.
When was she killed, Candid?
This morning, somewhere between 1 and 2 a.m., the coroner says. That isn't all.
What else?
Well, from the tire marks they found up the beach, there was another idea. We think maybe she was shot somewhere else and then driven down to the beach.
This Sarah Hanson, she worked?
Yeah, a place out in Westwood. Called, Parker's Service. We'll check everyone out there. Takes time.
What about an address, Candid? Where did she live?
Well, the parents say she moved out of their place a couple of months ago. Seems they had a fight, she and the parents. She wouldn't tell them where she was moving.
They tell you anything else?
Sarah Hanson was afraid of something, they said. Had them worried. That's when the fight started. She used to get phone calls from a woman.
A woman?
Yeah, every time this woman called, Sarah would leave the phone crying. Only happened a couple of times.
Did they ever see this woman?
Nope. They were wondering if it might be another girl who worked with Sarah. Feud.
Only you haven't checked the employees yet.
Like I said, Regan, it takes time. The shop opens up first thing in the morning. My men will be there.
Thanks, Candid. Thanks a lot.
Hey, Regan, where do you fit in this?
Client, Candid. You know how it is.
Maybe I don't, Regan. If you know something...
I don't know anything, Candid.
You wouldn't lie to me, would you? Sarah Hanson was a good-looking dame. A real good-looking dame.
I never met her.
You sure, Regan?
I'm sure.
Okay, I'll take your word. She's a real nice-looking dame, like I said. Kind you hate to see turn up. Dead. You want to see her, Regan?
All right, Candid. We'll see her. Candid and I went to the morgue. We saw her. Sarah Hanson. Medium-sized, good-looking blonde. She looked nothing like the girl who'd come to the Lyons office without a memory. Yet somewhere Sarah Hanson and Miss Smith fit together. Somewhere their lives became crossed and tangled up and then went separately again. Miss Smith's to a blank memory. Sarah Hanson's to death. Somewhere something made both things happen. That gave me an idea. I went upstairs to Missing Persons and checked every record I could find that even faintly resembled our client, Miss Smith. Nothing did. I headed outside. Joe Rupnick was still sitting in the taxi. He turned it around, and we headed for the L.A. County Hospital.
Jeffrey, there you are.
Trouble, Fatso?
Trouble? I've been sitting here all day, wasting time and money.
How's she doing, Fatso?
Is she? Oh, Miss Smith, fine. She's doing fine. Doctor says she was merely weak from too much tension brought on by the amnesia.
Good, Lion. I think we may have something.
We may have something. You're darn right we have something. Hospital bills, doctors, nurses' bills. Every time the door opens to that girl's room, I add another $5. Jeffrey, this is ridiculous. We're not Fort Knox. How do you think the Lion Detective Agency can pay for
Take
these
it
bills?
easy, Fatso. Remember, it was your idea to bring Miss Smith here.
So what if it was my idea?
That's right, Lion. You call the ambulance.
Well, that's no reason why we have to pay.
Mr. Lion, I'll have to ask you not to raise your voice.
Yes, Miss Wilson. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Lion.
Yes.
Sitting here all day, wasting your time.
Oh, now, Jeffrey, after all, the man has to do something.
Sure, Fatso. You keep an eye on those nurses' bills. I'm going in to see our client. Miss Smith was lying there, pale face made paler by the whiteness of the sheets, the white hospital walls, the clinical smell of the room. You don't have to be sick to look sick in a hospital bed.
Oh. Hello, Mr. Regan.
You remember me?
You helped me, Mr. Regan. I won't forget that.
What does the doctor say?
Oh, I'll be all right. Really, I will. It's just my mind. I can't think straight.
But you remember about the gun, the 2 bullets missing?
Yes. Yes, I remember about them.
Do you remember anything more?
I don't think so.
About wanting to kill someone?
Oh, Mr. Regan.
You don't remember that part of it?
The doctor says it's shock. Something happened to me. Something I wanted to forget. Made me forget everything.
Murder might do that.
Yes, I suppose it might.
Does the name Parker mean anything to you?
No.
Parker Service, Westwood?
No, Mr. Regan.
How about Sarah Hanson?
No, Mr. Regan, I don't know that name.
Sarah Hanson, a blonde, pretty blonde.
No, I don't remember.
You worked for Parker Service in Westwood. You were in Westwood today. Maybe at a small apartment on Bentley just past Pico. That mean anything to you, Miss Smith?
Leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Okay, thanks. Thanks anyway.
Please leave me alone. Mr. Regan, leave me alone.
Somewhere the paths of Sarah Hanson and Miss Smith crossed. Somewhere their lives were woven in and out of each other until it was so mixed up. And then it made sense. Simple, quick, easy sense. I left the hospital in a hurry. The cab was there, and I got in, and we drove and drove fast. First for a drugstore and a phone booth, then for Westwood.
Look, Mac, now that we're here, what are we doing here?
Visiting Joe.
Yeah, don't sound friendly somehow.
You sit tight. I'm going in.
Look, that house is dark. Nobody's home, Mac.
Maybe, maybe not. If I'm not out in 10 minutes, get to a phone and call the police. You got that?
Yeah. Call the cops.
It was 50 feet back from the street. Not a mansion, not a little house. Grounds well kept, lawn neat and trimmed. I moved slowly up the walk toward the front door. The fog had settled on Westwood Village, and the soft dampness sifted under your clothes and made your skin turn cold. Up ahead, the dark house, waiting. I changed my mind, moved along the side of the house toward the fireplace. That might mean den, and the den might mean proof. Around back, a patio and French doors next to the red brick. Still no sounds from the dark house. I tried the French doors. It was the den. Books, heavy leather chair, and desk. On the desk a photograph, too dark to see. I picked up the metal frame and lit a match. It fit. The final nail in a murderous coffin.
You like the photograph? Get your hands off your gun, Mr. Regan. That's better. Only one of us needs a gun just now.
Just you, Parker.
The photograph is almost a perfect likeness, isn't it? Beautiful woman.
But not beautiful enough for you, was that it?
Beautiful but possessive. She didn't understand me.
And Sarah Hansen did.
Jane killed her.
So that's her name, Jane Parker.
Too bad you've never met her, Mr. Regan.
I've met her, Parker. In fact, I just left her less than 30 minutes ago.
It's a lie. You've never met my...
Your wife, Jane Parker. She asked for help.
Regan, you're lying.
You tell me a better story. Where is your wife?
I don't know.
But you'd like to, wouldn't you? You'd like to know so you could see her once more, so you could see her and shut her up.
She told you.
That you killed Sarah Hansen?
She was lying. She killed Sarah. There was a fight. Jane killed her in a jealous rage.
And you're going to try to tell me Jane carried Sarah Hansen to her car, then took her to the beach, and then threw her body in the...
I left. I don't know what happened. It was Jane.
Jane carried a woman her size down to the ocean. Who do you think you can make believe that?
You're lying.
I'll tell you what really happened. Jane found out you were running around with another woman, Sarah Hansen. She phoned Sarah, tried to reason with her. Your wife was dumb enough to want to keep you. When Sarah wouldn't listen to reason, your wife went to see her.
You don't know what you're talking about.
She found you at Sarah Hansen's apartment on Bentley. There was a fight. You lost your temper, Parker. Only a man your size could have wrecked the place the way it is now.
No.
You shot and killed Sarah, and the shock was too much for your wife.
No.
Her mind went completely blank, rather than remember the nightmare she'd seen.
How do you know?
How? Because I know where your wife, Jane Parker, is right now.
She didn't tell you that. She wouldn't dare tell you.
Your wife disappeared after the shooting early this morning, didn't she, Parker? You didn't know where she'd gone. That's what you really wanted to find out from me when I was at your shop this afternoon.
You're making that up.
You were afraid then, and you're afraid now. Yet you didn't report to the police that your wife was missing. I checked that. You didn't want them to find her either. She could tell the real story.
Where is Jane, Mr. Regan?
You're wasting time.
Unless you tell me where my wife is, Mr. Regan, I'll put every bullet in this gun through your body.
And that still wouldn't stop your wife from talking, would it, Parker? That still wouldn't give you the answer to where she is now.
Tell me, Regan?
Go ahead. Shoot, Parker. Shoot and read the morning papers tomorrow. The headlines will tell how every cop on the West Coast is waiting to shoot you on sight.
Regan?
So you won't need that gun.
Let go!
You pulled the trigger on yourself, Parker. Too bad your aim wasn't better.
Dr. Dana. Dr. Stephen Dana.
$16 a day for room. A private nurse.
Hiya, Fatso.
No, don't bother me, Jeffrey. I'm very busy. A room at $16 a day.
How's our client, Lion? She doing okay?
$16 a day. Yeah, what's that, Jeffrey?
Miss Smith, our client.
Oh, you mean Jane Parker. Oh, why didn't you say so, Jeffrey? She's much better. The doctor says it'll take time, though. Let me see now. If you take 16 divided
He thinks
by
you'll get her memory back, Lion.
What? Oh, yes. He thinks it's just a matter of time. Mental block, that sort of thing. Very complicated, you understand. Oh, hey, Jeffrey, it's been a long day. You must
Dr.
be tired.
I am a little. Come on, Fatso, I'll drive you home.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, home? No, you just run on, Jeffrey. I really couldn't leave just yet. You see, I've got it figured so the city will have to pay part of the hospital.
You can figure that out at home, Fatso. You look tired.
Well, no. You see, Jeffrey, I'd better stay right here, where I can get the cost firsthand. That way I'll have it accurate when I charge the city. You know me, Jeffrey. Business before pleasure.
Oh, yes, business before pleasure.
Yes, I'm not satisfied until I've completely finished the case. You look peaked, boy. You run along, get some sleep. Me, well, I'll just sit here and work. Finish my job.
I'm all ready, Mr. Lyon, if you are.
Yeah.
The night supervisor said it would be all right if I left early.
Yeah.
Isn't that just grand?
Well, good night, Jeffrey.
Good night, Fatso.
Jeff Regan, Investigator, was written tonight by William Frug, produced and directed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Paul Dubov as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arun. Jeff Regan, Investigator, is heard each week at the same time over CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, the first and only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to auto theft detail. A gang of car strippers has been operating in your city. From their M.O., you know they're professionals. They move fast. Your job? Get them. Friends, you'll remember some months ago we read you our first report, the 6 months report on the effects of smoking. Then more recently we read you the 8 months report. Now here is the latest one. The full 10 months report confirms again.
The group examined showed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields.
This from a medical specialist who is making regular bi-monthly examinations of a group of people from various walks of life. 45% of them have smoked Chesterfield for an average of over 10 years.
After 10 full months, the specialist reports he observed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses of the group from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report. Buy much milder Chesterfield, regular or king size. The cigarette that's best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 5th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of auto theft detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Nelson. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from the telephone booth, and it was 10:23 p.m. when I got to the parking lot. Our car.
You called in?
Yeah, they haven't hit tonight so far.
What's the time now?
A little after 10:30. Parking lot's about empty.
Yeah. The attendant left a few minutes ago.
Frank?
Yeah, I see him.
Over there going for that Cadillac.
Yeah. You got a good look at him?
No, it's too dark. He's forcing the door. Come on.
Right. All right, hold it up there. He's in the car, Joe. All right, hold it up. He isn't going to stop. He's heading for that intersection. He'll never get through. Come on. It looks pretty bad, Joe.
Yeah, he really cracked into that Dodge, didn't he? All right, let us through, please.
Come on, please let us through.
I'll check the Cadillac.
Right, I'll get the other car.
Okay.
The 3 people in that Dodge are lucky. Doesn't look too bad. I'll call the ambulance.
Yeah, we'll tell them to hurry. I don't think this one's going to wait. 10:46 p.m. The ambulance arrived, and after emergency treatment at the scene, the victims were removed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. A traffic car had been dispatched to investigate the accident. Upon arrival at the emergency hospital, we were informed that the suspect had died on the way. The dead body was identified by his personal effects as Charles Roxford, age 16. The Juvenile Bureau was contacted, and they requested that in the course of our investigation, we notify the boy's family. 11:27 p.m. Frank and I drove out to the address listed on the victim's identification. It was a house above the Sunset Strip. We rang the bell and waited.
I'll try it again.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Mrs. Roxford?
That's right. What is it?
Police officers, ma'am. We'd like to talk to you.
Police? Well, come in. I don't know what you want with us, but come in.
Thank you.
Come into the living room.
Thank you very much.
Now, sit down. What is it?
There's been an accident, Mrs. Roxford.
An accident?
Yes, ma'am. Pretty bad one.
What's this got to do with me?
Well, you see, ma'am, your boy was... Joe?
Well, we're sorry to have to tell you this, ma'am, but your boy was in an accident tonight.
Charles?
Yes, ma'am.
You said it was a bad accident.
Yes, ma'am, we did.
How bad? How bad?
Your son's dead, ma'am.
Charles? Charles Roxford? You're sure you have the right house?
Yes, ma'am. We're sorry, Miss Roxford.
Oh, Charlie, he was only a baby. Just a baby. Oh, you're sure there's no mistake? You're sure?
Afraid not, ma'am.
How did it happen?
Well, it was an automobile accident, ma'am.
In an automobile?
Yes, ma'am. Your boy was driving a car.
Oh, but Charlie doesn't have a car. He doesn't drive.
Your boy was driving a stolen car, Mrs. Roxford.
What?
Your son had a stolen car, ma'am. He was trying to get away.
Well, that's not true.
Afraid it is, ma'am.
No. You're lying to me. Charles wouldn't do a thing like that.
Afraid that's the way it is, ma'am.
Oh, that's terrible. I can't believe that Charlie'd do something like that. I thought I knew him. I didn't think he'd do anything like that. Well, did you see it? The accident. Were you there?
Yes, ma'am, we were.
How did it happen?
Well, he'd stolen the car, ma'am. He tried to escape. He ran the car out into a crowded street. One of the cars in the traffic didn't have time to stop. Your boy ran right into it.
Wasn't there something you could do to stop him?
Well, we tried, ma'am. We yelled at him. He almost ran us down.
You know where your boy was tonight, Mrs. Roxford?
No. No, he had dinner and then said he was going out. I thought he was going to a show or something. Mm-hmm. No, I didn't know where he was going.
Did he leave the house alone?
Yes. Left right after dinner, about 8. Said he'd be back later. Said he'd see me later. That he left.
Is there anything we can get for you, Mrs. Roxford?
No, nothing.
Where's your husband, ma'am?
I guess he's at his office. He sells insurance. Said he had to meet a client tonight. I don't know what he's going to do when he hears about this. Going to hit him awfully hard. Awfully hard.
Yes, ma'am.
He and the boy were very close. I don't know what he's going to do when he hears about it.
Did the boy give you any idea during dinner as to what he was going to do after he left?
No, he didn't. I didn't talk much to him.
Ma'am?
You see, I wasn't here. I was out most of the afternoon. I didn't get home until just before he left. He just finished dinner and then he left.
I see, ma'am.
I was at the bridge club. I always go on Tuesdays. Oh, if I'd only known what was going to happen. Am I going to see him?
Well, we want either you or your husband to identify him, ma'am.
Charlie, he's dead. Just a baby, just a little boy. You were there. You could have done something. You're police officers. Isn't that your job?
Beg your pardon?
Well, isn't it your job to help people, to do something when they're in trouble?
Well, yes, ma'am, I suppose it is, but it was a little late for that line.
What does that mean?
Well, he was 16 when we met him, Miss Roxby.
What's that got to do with it?
Somebody should have tried a long time ago. Most car thefts fall into 3 basic categories, well known by all police officers. First, the cars that are stolen by professionals who change the motor numbers, forge owner certificates, repaint the bodies, and sell them throughout the country. The second group consists of joyriders, thieves who steal the cars for a few hours, merely to ride around in them and then leave them on the streets. The third category, and the one we've been working on for the past 6 weeks, dealt with the activities of car strippers. Their M.O. followed the usual pattern for this type of crime. The car would be stolen and then driven to some lonely part of the city. There, all usable accessories would be removed. Radios, tires, air horns, side mirrors, anything that could be resold would be taken. In certain cases, the articles would be stolen while the car remained parked where the owner had left it. We found that the gang had become so proficient that they could break into a car and remove the radio as well as other accessories in under 10 minutes. Avenues of sale for the stolen merchandise had been checked. Known dealers in stolen property had been questioned. As the days went on, the total of thefts went up. By the 5th of August, the gang had stolen over $12,000 in automobile accessories. In the instances where we'd been able to get a description of men loitering in the vicinity of the stripped cars, we'd had the witnesses check mug books in the hope of identifying the thieves. We'd gotten no new leads. Physical evidence at the scene of the abandoned cars had been checked and rechecked. It netted us nothing. A week passed. August 14th, 8:15 a.m. Frank and I got back to the office.
The captain's really boiling, isn't he?
Yeah, you can't blame them, though. They got to stop cold.
Well, we've got to get a break in it sometime. All the luck can't stay on their side.
I don't know. It looks like it could happen that way.
Anything on the steakhouse last night?
No, nothing that we got so far. Maybe something later. I get it. Auto theft Friday. I beg your pardon, ma'am? Well, no. Well, yeah. What was that again? Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, yes, ma'am. All right. What was that address again? Yes, I yeah, all right. Well, we'll send a unit out. I'm sure they can help you. No, I suggest you get in touch with the SPCA. No, SPCA, yes, that's... All right, bye. Well, there's a dandy one.
What's that?
Woman lost a cat from her car. Want to know if we can get it back for her.
Yeah?
Says it's real easy to recognize. He has a collar on him. He answers the name of Tabby.
Oh, that makes it easier.
Yeah.
Olive F. Smith. Yes, sir. That's right. Uh-huh. Where are you calling from, sir? Yes, sir, that's on Wilshire, right? All right, sir, we'll be right there.
Anything?
Yeah, a doctor out on Wilshire parked his car out in front of his office. Yeah. Came back in 10 minutes. His car radio was gone.
"8:56 a.m. Frank and I got to the doctor's office. It was in a large medical building out on Wilshire Boulevard. We went up to the second floor and talked to the man who placed the call, a Dr. Alex Halsey. He told us that he'd stopped at his office on the way to a hospital call. He'd parked his car immediately in front of the building. When he returned 10 minutes later, he found that the radio had been stolen. From his office, we called the crime lab and latent fingerprints detail. Crews of men were sent from both divisions. They went over the car for possible physical evidence. Frank and I, along with Dr. Halsey, went down to the street. We talked to him while the officers worked.
Darndest thing I ever saw. I tell you, I wasn't in the building more than 10 minutes. 10 minutes outside.
Yes, sir.
Came back, and I could see right away that the door had been opened.
Uh-huh.
First, I thought maybe I'd left it open. Then when I got in the car, I knew right away. As soon as I saw the radio was gone.
Yes, sir. Did you notice anyone loitering around your car when you parked it? Anybody suspicious, maybe?
No, I didn't. Of course, I might not have noticed anyone. Had my mind on Julie.
Julie?
Yes, I'm operating on her this afternoon. Poor little kid has an intestinal disorder. Only 3 months old.
Gee, that's too bad.
Yes, she'll be fine, though. Of course, the parents are worried. They always are. Can't convince them there's nothing to worry about.
Yes, sir. Then you didn't notice anyone, huh?
No, like I said, I didn't.
You sure you locked your car, sir, when you left it?
Oh, yes, I'm sure about that. Always make it a practice to lock it when I leave it. Lots of times I leave instruments in it. Always have to be careful about the instruments. Oh, yes, sir, I always lock it.
How about the windows?
What?
The windows. Did you roll them all the way up?
Roll them up. Well, now, once in a while I don't. Try to think of that. I'm not sure about this morning. No, come to think of it, I guess I didn't close them this morning. Such a wonderful day.
Yes, sir. Well, that's probably how they got into your car.
You happen to have the serial number of the radio, Dr. Halsey?
No, I don't think I have. Might be on the papers. I just got the car a couple of months ago. Might be on the papers. I can check them for you.
All right, sir. That'll help.
I'll have my secretary look them up for you right away.
Anyone else drive the car, Dr. Halsey?
Oh, no, sir. Don't believe in that. I'm the only one. Been the only one to drive it. Don't believe in lending the car to somebody else. Never have believed in it.
Mm-hmm.
Joe?
Excuse me a minute, Dr. Halsey.
Surely.
Yeah, Leonard.
Got a couple of clean prints on the dashboard. Might belong to the thief.
Yeah.
I'd like to check the doctor. It might be his.
Okay.
Wait a minute. I'll get the kit.
I know. Hey, Dr. Halsey.
Yes, Sergeant.
Okay.
This is Sergeant Tankersley of the fingerprint department. He'd like to check your prints.
How do you do, sir?
All right, Doctor. Wonder if I could look at your fingers, please.
Surely. Can you tell just from looking at them what you want to know?
No, sir, but you see, the prints we found are Fore. If your prints were loops, there'd be no reason to take them.
Oh, yes. I see.
How about it, Leonard?
Better roll them up for comparison.
Hmm?
We're going to take your prints, Doctor, if you have no objection.
Oh, no, of course not. Glad to help.
All right, sir. You want to step over here? We can take them in the officer's car.
Yes, glad to.
Here, I'll get the door.
Yeah, I'll get the pad. Now, Doctor, if you let me have your hand.
Surely, here.
No, sir, if you let me do it, it'd be a little easier.
Oh, yes. Just trying to help.
I will put them on the card.
Never knew my fingers were so big.
It does that we're taking the print of the whole tip of the finger, sir. Makes it look that way.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
All right, Doctor, you can get the ink off with this, I think. Here, I'll pour a little on this cloth. Here you go.
Yes, thank you.
What do you think, Leonard?
I'll check them now.
Sure be a break if they were the thieves.
Well, there must be. Couldn't be anyone else's.
Well, how about your family, Doctor? Possible the prints could be theirs, maybe?
Oh, no chance. Jenny, that's my wife. She has her own car. Kids always use that one. Like I said, I'm the only one who uses this.
Uh-huh. How about it, Len?
Make them? Yeah. They belong to the doctor.
10:02 a.m. The crime lab crew gathered what physical evidence they could find and returned to check over their findings. Frank and I took a report from Dr. Halsey, and then we talked to his secretary. She was unable to find the ownership papers on the car. We drove over to the dealer who had sold him the car and got the serial number of the stolen radio. We notified pawn shop detail and gave them the information. For the next 3 weeks, stakeouts on the parking lots in the central area continued. Arrests were made, but the thieves apparently had no connection with the gang we were after. They kept hitting, but the speed with which they operated made apprehending them difficult. On Friday, September 5th, we got a call that a stolen car had been recovered out in Topanga Canyon. We drove out to check on it. The tires, radio, horns, heater, spotlights, fog lights, and the side view mirrors had been taken. The seat covers had been removed, and the hubcaps were missing. Again, there was no physical evidence that gave us a lead to the thieves. That night at 10:52 p.m., Frank and I checked back into the office.
Another long day.
Yeah, kind of tired myself.
Kind of hate to call Faye.
Why's that?
Oh, this morning when I left, I told her I'd be home for dinner, sure.
Well, didn't you call her?
No, I forgot all about it. She's really going to be sore.
Yeah, well, she'll get over it.
I don't know, Joe. It's going to be a couple of days of quiet around the house, I think.
Why, just because you missed a meal?
No, it ain't that. She had tamale pie for dinner. Boy, she sure makes it good, too. A lot of cheese, you know?
Yeah, well, she can warm it up for you when you get home. Here, go ahead.
All right.
You want to sign us out? I'll check the book.
Yeah, I'll get it. Anything?
Yeah, a call from Brennan out in Wilshire. I'll call him. Hello, Brennan around? Yeah, all right.
Say what it was about?
No, I'm calling him now. Yeah, hi, Brennan. It's Friday. Yeah. You did, huh? So where'd that happen? No kidding. Well, it was the brakes, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Brennan. Picked up a kid for running a red light driving a hot rod.
Yeah?
Car was fixed up with a lot of new stuff. Guys out of Wilshire checked it over.
Uh-huh.
According to the serial number on the radio, it was stolen from Dr. Halsey.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
In 1952, American smokers bought more Chesterfields than ever before in the history of the industry. Today, sales are still going up. Smokers everywhere are changing to Chesterfield.
Chesterfield, the first and only cigarette to give you premium quality in both regular and king size. Premium quality in a cigarette means the world's best tobaccos, the best ingredients, the best cigarette paper. Only Chesterfield gives you this premium quality in both popular sizes.
King-size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king-size cigarette. Well, that's certainly important to every king-size smoker. Of course, it's the same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield. There is absolutely no difference, except that king-size Chesterfield gives you more than a fifth longer smoke.
Remember, the modern way to sell cigarettes is the Chesterfield way. Premium quality, both regular and king size.
Chesterfield is much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
11:27 p.m. Frank and I drove out to Wilshire Division. We checked with Sergeant Brennan, and he told us how the boy had been picked up. He'd run a red light at the corner of Pico and La Brea. He'd been stopped by two officers in a cruiser car. He was driving a cut-down 49 Ford that was equipped with Cadillac hubcaps, white sidewall tires, Chrysler horns, and a Cadillac radio. The officers had started to question him, and he'd attempted to escape. He'd been apprehended and brought to the station to be interrogated. In checking the serial number of the radio, the men from Wilshire Division had discovered that it was stolen and had left word for us. 11:45 p.m. We went to an interview room to talk to the boy.
What's your name, son?
Martin.
First name?
Herb Martin.
You know why you're here, don't you?
Yeah.
You want to tell us where you got that stuff?
I bought it.
Where?
Different places.
You remember where?
Not right off.
How old are you?
19.
Where do you live?
It's on the report.
We're asking you.
Come on, Herb.
8297 Marianne Drive.
Where were you going when they stopped you?
Home.
Where'd you been?
Around.
Same place you bought that stuff on your car, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Now, look, you better come off this, young fella. You might think you're a big man, but you got things a little mixed up here. You got caught with a carload of stolen accessories. There's been a lot of stealing going on around town. The way your car looks, you could be responsible for it.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
You look good for it.
Look, maybe I lifted the radio and stuff, but that don't mean I'm in on the other. Sure, I got no choice. You got me nailed for the stuff you found, but I'm not going to take it for the others. Maybe I stole that stuff, but that was for me. I didn't sell it like the others. Now leave me alone, huh?
What do you mean, others?
I don't know what you mean.
You said the others.
Well, I didn't mean others like
that. Well, how did you mean it?
Well, like the guys you're looking for.
That's not the way it sounded.
No, you said it like you knew who you were talking about.
I didn't say it like that.
That's the way it sounded.
That's right, son.
Now, why don't you tell us who you meant?
Look, Herb, we haven't got all day.
Come on, boy.
We're going to get him sometime.
Who'd you mean?
All right, I'll tell you.
We continued to talk to Herb Martin. He told us of the activities of a gang of car strippers who were working on order. He went on to say that from what he'd heard, if someone wanted to pick up some fast money, a connection could be made with a man on the corner of Sunset and Western. The man would give the order for the stolen merchandise and say where and at what time it was to be delivered. Herb told us that he had the opportunity to do business with the man, but that he turned it down. He was unable to identify the man who made the contact and said that he'd never heard him referred to by name. He gave us the names and addresses of two of the men who were working for him. 12:45 a.m. Frank and I left and drove back downtown. With the assistance of officers from Wilshire Division, the two young men were brought in for questioning. They identified their contact as a Richard R. Ogden. We ran the name through R&I and found that Ogden had a previous record of petty theft. From the 510 in his package, we obtained his last known address, but the landlady told us that he'd moved and left no forwarding address. She told us, however, that she thought we could find him at the Meyer Garage on South Hoover. We drove over and found that it was a small place on the corner of Hoover and Mariposa. The owner, Alan Meyer, told us that Ogden did work for him, but that he was out. He said that the suspect was expected back almost any time. While we talked to him, Meyer worked on a small foreign car.
Great little cars. Get a real kick out of working on them.
Yeah, sure nice looking. You sell them, do you?
No, I just service them. Mm-hmm. Oh, now and then I get accessories for them. You know, I order them up, install them. Cost too much to keep a regular stock of them.
Yeah. When did you say that Ogden would be back?
We should be here now. Probably got hung up someplace. Yeah, latest thing is a hardtop. Made out of laminated fiberglass.
Is that right?
Yeah, fits right over them. Kind of makes them look like a small rolls, you know. Then with wire wheel caps, baggage racks, wind wings, you can put a lot of money in them.
Yeah, I guess so. What about all this other stuff here? Is that for these foreign cars, too?
What do you mean?
Oh, tires and hubcaps here?
No, that's where I make most of my money. I go out and buy them from wrecks, bring them back here, straighten them out, resell them to the independent stations around town. They can sell them a lot cheaper than new ones run. We both make a little money out of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Say, you guys like some peanuts?
No,
thanks.
Okay, you don't mind if I have some, huh? Sure you don't want any?
No, thanks very much.
I get so hungry in the morning, I keep these things around and munch on.
Yeah.
Go through a whole can of these a day. That'd kill me. I can get started on things you can't stop. You sure you don't want some? Huh?
No, thanks. How long have you known this Ogden, Meyer?
Oh, let's see. Guess it's been 10 years anyway. Went to work for me a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Good man, brought a lot of business in. Say, what does you want to see him about?
Oh, we'd like to talk to him.
You don't want to tell me, huh?
Be better if we talk to him, Mr. Meyer.
Yeah. Well, here he is now. Hey, Dick.
Yeah?
A couple of fellas here want to see you.
Yeah, what is it?
You Richard Ogden?
Yeah, that's right.
Police officers. I'm Frank Smith. This is my partner, Joe Friday.
What did you guys want me for?
I'd like to talk to you, Ogden.
Well, go ahead.
Might be better if we went outside.
Well, look, you can talk to him here. I got some work I can do in the office.
Don't want to bother you, Mr. Meyer.
No trouble at all.
Well, now, what's this all about?
You know a couple of kids named Jerry Z. Swanson and Harry T. Benson?
Swanson and Benson? No, I don't think I do.
They say they know you. Say they do some work for you.
Sorry to bother you. Forgot my peanuts.
It's all right, sir.
I'll be in the office if you need anything.
Thank you, sir.
No, anything at all.
Yes, sir.
What about it, Ogden?
What about what?
You know the kids? It's Benson and Swanson.
No, I told you once.
All right, mister, let's go downtown. We'll talk it over there, huh?
What for? Why are you pulling me in?
I want you to meet the two boys if you don't know them.
Well, what's that going to prove?
We want to know why they named you. Why they said you were responsible for the car stripping that's been going on.
You mean you believe them?
We've got no reason not to. I don't think they'd stage a thing like this. They got a lot to lose.
So have I. You get me down there and those two kids point me out and I haven't got a chance. Even if I'm not the one and they say I am, you won't give me a break.
No, if you haven't done anything, you got nothing to worry about.
I'm not going. Alan? Hey, Alan.
Yeah, what is it, Dick?
Come here, will you?
Yeah, right away. What's the matter? Something wrong?
Well, these guys are going to take me to jail.
Well, what for? What's he done?
We want to talk to him, Meyer. We think he's involved in some car thefts.
Well, I know that's not true. Dick wouldn't do a thing like that. I know. I've known him a long time.
No, I'm sorry, sir, but the information we've got says you did.
Why, Dick? Why'd you do a thing like that? If what these officers say is true, well, gee, that's awful. Why would you do a thing like that?
What are you talking about?
All right, come on, Ogden, let's go.
No, I'm not going.
I think you better do what the officers say, Dick. It'll be better if you don't cause any trouble.
Well, wait a minute. What are you trying to prove with this?
I don't know what you mean. Next thing you'll be trying to involve me in this.
Yeah, well, that's just what I'm going to do.
You see, officers, that's terrible.
Well, don't you listen to him. He's the guy behind the whole thing. Look over there, the tires, all this stuff. Sure, I stole them. I had the kids go out and pick them up, but he set it up. He sold them to the stations. He took most of the money. The whole thing was his idea.
Well, Dick, how can you say that?
Well, I can say it because it's true. I'll tell you all about it. You take him downtown, I'll tell you all about it. You're not going to let me stand for this alone.
And to think that he'd do a thing like this to me after we've been friends for so long. Bring me stolen merchandise to sell.
You got anything to back up what you're saying, Ogden?
Sure I have. You just bet I can back it up.
Go ahead.
Well, you look at his books, not the ones he's got out in the open, but you look at the ones in the safe. It's all there. All the deals he's made with the owners of the stations, all the orders, what he paid the kids for them, and what he got for them. Didn't think I knew about it, did you? Whole lousy year I've been doing the dirty work for him. Well, I've had it. I'm through. I've had it. Let me take the beef. What a crumb. I'll show him.
I don't understand it. Friends for so long. I'd have gotten you out. 10 years we've been friends. I trusted you all that time. Then you sold me out. Why?
Well, that shouldn't be too tough for you to figure.
Huh?
You showed him how.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 21st, trial was held in Department 87, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Remember, only Chesterfield gives you this scientific evidence on the effects of smoking. After 10 full months, the group examined showed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield. Now, speaking personally as a Chesterfield smoker, I know they're best for me. Either way you like them, you'll find Chesterfield is best for you.
Richard R. Ogden and Alan Y. Meyer were tried and convicted of receiving stolen property. They received sentences as prescribed by law. Receiving stolen property is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not more than 10 years, or in the county jail for not more than 1 year. The investigation of the records of Alan Y. Meyer uncovered the names of the other men involved in the thefts. They, along with Herbert S. Martin, Jerry Z. Swanson, and Harold T. Benson, were tried on a charge of grand theft auto and convicted. They were sentenced to the state penitentiary at San Quentin, California, for the term as prescribed by law. Grand theft auto is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1 nor more than 10 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, 10 million Americans have diseases of the heart and blood vessels. What are the causes and the cures? Well, it'll take research to find out. Send what you can to Heart, care of your local post office. Help your heart fund. Help your heart.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Sarah Selby, Art Gilmore. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show, Tuesday night on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield, either regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight, it's Adventure with Barry Craig, confidential investigator on NBC.
That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak for hire. Oh, sure, you can spell it 50 different ways, but down on the waterfront in San Francisco, it all means the same thing. You pay and I'll do, and the customer's always right if he's got an open wallet. And I'll match it with an open mind. Unless he's after murder, then the price gets out of range. And down here, you're either high on your toes or flat on your back, because most of the time you get only one kind of pitch. fast than inside, and you don't try if you're foul because nobody cares. Even then, you can't complain. During the summer, the morgue's the coolest spot in town. Oh, I rent boats and wrap up small sins in $20 bills. The money's good when you get it, but there's no retirement plan, and you can't buy vaccination for trouble. I found that out last Wednesday night. I closed up shop about 8 o'clock, and I started walking home. The city was down on its hands and knees trying to crawl through one of those San Francisco hot spells that blast by every 5 years. From up on the hill, the Chinatown tenements lined up down below like sweaty little kids waiting for a shower. It was heat and headaches all the way. But when I opened my front door and stepped inside, who wanted to talk about the weather? She was standing in the dark smoking a cigarette, and the silhouette her figure cut against the window was something you'd never believe. Then she reached over and turned on a lamp. It was a fast, dizzy trip, but when I got around to her eyes, they were the kind that made you think of hard-working geysers. Deep and warm, and you knew you could count on some fast action when they came to a boil. The smile was familiar, and the lips were red and moist, like a souped-up rose waiting for a bee. She did lots of nice things with her mouth, and talking was one of them.
Patsy, welcome home. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Georgie. What's on your mind?
Patsy, can't you ever take your time?
It's not mine, it's borrowed. Anything special in mind?
Easy business. Got a drink?
How easy?
Just a boat ride. You can't get hurt.
That's what they told the Spanish Armada.
Getting soft, Patsy?
No, not in the head. Now, look, if it's work, let's talk. Otherwise, let's just be cute, huh?
All right, Patsy. The last time you saw me was a year ago. As far as you know, I'm not in town. Fine?
You tell me. Go on.
Tomorrow night, a freighter's due in here from Shanghai. The SS Calcutta. I want to be on the welcoming committee.
Who says you can't?
Nobody yet. But the ship's going to anchor in the stream, so I need a boat, and I need you.
I'm not the social type. I don't think I'll go.
Believe me, Patsy, it's an easy trip.
So's falling downstairs. Come on, let's deal or drink.
All right, Patsy. My stepmother's going to meet the Calcutta, too.
Who's she?
This is Sheila Lampson.
She likes parties?
She likes a package she's going to get from somebody aboard the Calcutta.
What's in it?
That's her business. I just want to make sure she gets that package ashore all right.
You in on it?
She doesn't even know I'm in town.
Who picks up the check?
Here. The $40 cover it.
It's too much for an easy job and not enough for a hard one. Where do I find you if I need bail?
Here's the phone number. You can call me there tomorrow. And Patsy, thanks. I don't forget easy.
Why the rush?
Because you scare me, Patsy. You really scare me. You remember the party, Patsy?
Yeah. But memories are like everything else. They wear out.
Then let's make some new ones, Patsy.
At the door and watched her move down the hall toward the stairs. The white dress she had on was plain enough, but it didn't have a mind of its own. It just did what it was told and tried to behave, but Georgie and nature wouldn't let it. There was only one catch in seeing Georgie. She always left too soon, like a small bottle of fine whiskey. Well, it must have been a good 5 minutes after she left when I heard the buzzer. I was looking for the white dress when I opened the door, but I was looking the wrong way. Something with an echo, and it came down hard on the side of my head. I went down like mercury in a quick freeze. The trip wasn't nice, but it was long. Halfway there, I came up for breath, and I found the deck of one of my own boats under me. The Bay Bridge lights were still around, and that made it kind of cozy. When my eyes got in focus, the smooth-looking bundle laid out next to me shaped up like Georgie Lampson. She wasn't looking her best. I had just enough time to remember a pair of women's shoes standing next to my face, and then I must have moved, and they punched my ticket for a return trip. The next time I opened my eyes, I was looking up at the lights on Pier 19. Oh, the shoes were still there, but this time they were black, and the feet inside squashed out wide and flat like tired beefsteak. That meant only one thing: Hellman from Homicide.
You can stop playing mouse, Novak. Get up. The party's over.
Yeah, Hellman. I thought they'd never go home.
Your boyfriend here isn't talking.
Is he bashful?
Yeah, Novak. He's real shy. He's dead. Who is he?
That's what you get paid for. What about the girl that was here?
County hospital. You better pray she makes it, Novak.
Because you like blondes, Hellman?
Because nobody beats 2 murder raps, Novak.
Oh, you talk funny.
So does this hunk of lead pipe. Your prints are all over it.
What'd that make me, a plumber?
Better than that, Novak. The pipe fits the dent in that guy's skull like it grew there.
Well, maybe he's the plumber.
You're smart, Novak. Now, come on. Who's the guy and who is the dame?
He's Georgie Lampson, the guy I don't know.
We'll, Novak. We'll take care of that.
Oh, you try hard, don't you, Hellman? You move your lips when you read, you use your fingers when you count, but you never get the right answer.
Don't tempt me, Novak. I'm not my cherry best in the morning.
You don't have a best, Hellman. You tried thinking once, but it gave you a headache. Now when you get in a squeeze, you have to pound your way out with your fist.
I warned you, Novak. Now talk nice and save teeth.
Yeah. I'll talk when that blonde tells her story.
If she makes the grade, how does she figure?
She met me in my apartment last night on business. 5 minutes after she left, the doorbell rang. When I answered it, somebody sapped me. Now you take it from there.
Yeah, I will. Right to the DA.
Go ahead, Hellman, but don't look hurt when the case blows up in your face.
You giving odds?
That's all I'm giving, Hellman. You figure it. I took the gal and this girl I don't even know for a ride at 3 a.m. We had a party and I killed a guy. But the gal I only messed up good because I like the way she talked.
You sound scared, Novak.
Well, I'm not, Hellman, but you are because it doesn't add. Why did I beat my skull with that same hunk of pipe, and how did I drive back here to meet you?
Keep your mouth open, smart boy. They got a little green room up at San Quentin. Gets awful stuffy when they close the door.
Well, after I left Hellman, I figured I'd had a bumper crop of trouble for one day. The sun was just beginning to stagger up over the Berkeley Hills when I caught a cab uptown. On the way, I stopped off for coffee and a 6 a.m. Chronicle at one of those little Greek joints off Geary Street. The windows were blind with grease and the light was bad, but the reading was money from home. The story made me stop counting the lumps on my head. Professor Burton Lampson. He'd gotten himself murdered in a Shanghai hotel room a month ago, and they were sending his body back on the SS Calcutta. It was due to anchor in the bay that night, like Georgie said, but the shipping page didn't agree. The Calcutta was listed inside the gate at 7:30 the night before. How did that check out? And what about that package that had everybody worried? Well, when I got back to my apartment, I called the hospital to check on Georgie. Well, they were still giving odds, the long, thin kind. A little later, I was in the middle of a cold shower, adding up rows of zeros and getting different answers every round when the phone rang. It was Hellman, and he was selling nothing but smiles.
You feeling any better, Novak?
Oh, don't tell me you're worried.
We just identified the dead guy. His name's Warren Haynes, local socialite. You know him?
Yeah, I'm an old friend of the family.
The guy's from one of the old families in town, the important kind.
His blood wasn't blue.
No, but we are. We're feeling the pressure already, so I'm calling you in today for a little talk.
That's a great job, Hellman. You keep right on smacking your fat lips because you're going to get more answers than questions.
That's funny, Novak. I didn't think you knew the difference.
When I hung up the phone, I was seeing more red than the bleachers at a bullfighting. I probably would have walked right by him if he didn't open his mouth. Even then, it wasn't much more than a loud squeak. He was a skinny guy standing against the door with a half smile twisting his mouth and a bright, wild look in his eyes.
You seem disturbed, Mr. Novak.
Where's your invitation, mister?
This should prove sufficient, Mr. Novak.
All right, so you want a gun. What happens now?
Now, Mr. Novak, I use the gun unless you hand over the package.
Sorry, mister, you're in the wrong laundry.
Mr. Novak, I've been crossed once today. I don't intend it to happen twice. The package?
Now, look, I'm going to spell it again. I don't know what you're talking about. Now, take that cannon you're pointing and...
I think you realize I'm about to use this gun, Mr. Novak, for the last time.
All right. We'll find it right over there. Now here, right next to... Now, come on, give me that gun before somebody gets hurt. He stood there for a minute, shaking his head as if he wanted to go back and wipe 5 minutes from his life. All of a sudden, he jerked around in his tracks and he stumbled for the door like a timid drunk when you tell him he's had enough. Then he folded up hard against the wall on his knees. But it was a little too late for prayers. I stood there for a minute trying to think of a good lawyer who owed me money, but all I could see was a courtroom and a picture of Hellman smiling as he listened to the verdict. Well, accident or not, if Hellman dropped in with a body on the floor, he'd bury me so deep in San Quentin he'd be bringing me air in paper bags. When the knot in my stomach untied, I dragged the little guy away from the door and I rolled him on his back. His eyes were still asking for the package, but the rest of them didn't care. Outside of a few bucks, his wallet was empty, not even a laundry tag. Well, I got dressed and I pulled the blinds and locked the place up. And then I went out to look for the only honest guy I know, an ex-doctor by the name of Jocko Madigan. He was a fine surgeon until something made him decide life was temporary at best. Now he's got a permanent post on a bar stool looking for answers at the bottom of whiskey bottles. Well, it's hard on the liver that way, but you're never short on dreams. I finally found him with a bourbon halo in a musty little Italian joint over in North Beach. It was a long stretch from Easter Monday, but he was still celebrating Irish independence. He looked like he was on the wrong side because his nose was a bright orange.
Patsy, my boy, you're just in time. These simple but honest Sicilians have agreed to embark with me on a crusade. And as honorary past president of the Sons of St. Patrick, the Powell Street chapter, I invite you to join us.
Hold on, Jocko. Sober up. I got to talk to you.
To fittingly observe the occasion of old Ayre's joyful victory, we're first fortifying ourselves with grappa and bushmills. Then we sally forth to chase all the snakes out of Long Beach and the cockroaches out of Chinatown. How does that strike you, Patsy? And why aren't you smiling? 'Tis a glorious day.
Because I'm in a jam and I want to talk, Jocko. Now cut it.
Oh, Patsy, you remind me of that De Valera fellow. You're sitting on the curb and pouting just because they won't let you march in front of the band in the victory parade. You're sour, Patsy. Admit it.
Jocko, will you snap out of it? I'm in big trouble.
You're always in trouble, Patsy. You're a child of adversity, a son of scorn. The fates spit in your eye and you try to retaliate, but the wind's always blowing in the wrong direction. You're a lost leaf in the mortal storm, Patsy. You're a pebble shaking a tiny fist at the mountain. You'd like to fight for some strange, fantastic cause, wouldn't you, Patsy? But you can't find anybody your size. Men are too small and the gods are too big. Patsy, you're lost.
Are you all through?
Yeah. What kind of trouble?
Oh, it's a pair of bum murder raps, Jocko. Somebody sapped me in my apartment last night and I woke up this morning with a dead guy.
That sounds interesting. What was it you were drinking?
Hellman's out to pin this on me.
Oh, a dubious honor. You mentioned 2 murders.
A guy came in my apartment this morning waving a gun and asking for a package that I never heard of. We started wrestling for the gun.
Mildly exciting. Now, who got it?
He did, right in the chest.
Patsy, you have absolutely no excuse for losing your temper. Why, you're not even Irish. Still, you're always getting hot-headed at the wrong time.
It was an accident, Jocko. I didn't even know the guy. I'm sorry, but I can't cry.
Sure, that's what the British general said after he hung Robert Emmet at the dock. But he didn't straighten out the Marcel in his neck. What are you doing out of jail?
Well, you knock it off, Jocko. Now, look, did you ever hear of a Mrs. Sheila Lampson?
Certainly, and I'm very offended with her. In the past year, she set up drinks for every eligible and non-eligible in San Francisco except me.
That sounds good. What else?
Not much, but I often wonder what that poor old professor she married does with his evenings.
Well, he stopped worrying, Jocko. He's dead. Now, look, will you hop down to the Chronicle morgue and check with Steve Nagel? Have him dig out all the old clips on the professor and Mrs. Lampson, will you? And while you're there, check on a guy by the name of Warren Haynes. You got that?
Yes, but what do I do for money?
$50 for car fare and nothing for booze.
Patsy, surely you're jesting.
Jocko, will you quit clowning and get going?
If you say so, Patsy, but you've broken up a beautiful party. My Sicilian friends have gone to sleep and I'm thirsty again. Let's have 4 or 5 for the road, shall we?
Later, Jocko.
Oh, all right, Patsy, but only for you. By the way, where can I find you?
I'm going to tag by the county hospital, and then I'm going to look up Sheila Lampson.
If I remember the story correctly, Patsy, you'd better reverse your schedule. Good night, lover.
When I left Jocko, I tagged by Mama Lupo's on Kearney Street, and I called the hospital again. Oh, Georgie was a little better. At least the undertakers had stopped bidding. Mama Lupo clouded up for a storm when I asked to borrow her new car for a couple of hours, but a few pats and a pinch, and she was all giggles and car keys. 10 minutes later, I was fighting traffic on Potrero Avenue. The south wind out there brought the slaughterhouses right into your front seat. I found the hospital out on the far edge, and it was a nice-looking pile of dirty red brick. The nurse in the ward didn't believe I was Georgie's brother until I asked her if she was busy Saturday night. Then she saw the resemblance right away. I found Georgie behind a couple of screens at the end of the ward. And for a dying woman, she looked pretty good. She smiled a little when she saw me, like she was saving up for a bigger try later on.
Patsy, I'm glad you made it.
Look, I'm going to keep it short, baby. Who was it last night?
Sorry, Patsy. Big deal.
You can't tell her, you won't.
Can't, Patsy. Later I will.
And that package, same deal?
Same.
Well, I got a deal, too, Georgie, a murder rap. They want to hang it on me.
Who was it?
Warren Haynes. Do you know him?
I remember. Good corpse.
Now, look, you're slicing it awful thin for $40, Georgie.
Patsy, trust me.
No choice, baby. You're driving. Don't go through any red lights.
I won't, Patsy.
Telephone, Mr. Novak. I said it was urgent.
That's it, Georgie. I'll see you later. Yeah.
Having a good time, Novak?
You know any phone numbers besides mine, Hellman?
Not today, bright boy. You near a streetcar, or do I send a chauffeur?
What's your beef?
Our beef, Novak. We'd like it fine if you paid us a visit real soon.
Sorry, Hellman. Book's solid.
Command performance, Novak. I wouldn't disappoint.
What's the matter, Hellman? You want it in blood? I told you I don't know anything about last night. I never saw Haynes before.
You got me wrong, Novak. This one's about a knife. We just found it in your office down on the waterfront.
That's fine. Peel yourself an apple and keep busy.
You better come down, Novak. We found the knife in some guy's back.
Houdini couldn't get out of that one in 2 hours with both hands and a can of olive oil. It was like chasing cyanide with a bucket of brandy. Oh, it tastes bright, but it's only a matter of time. Well, I headed for Sheila Lampson's place, and on the way I pulled up by a drugstore out in the Haight Street jungles and called the Chronicle morgue. They said Jocko had just left, so I called the nearest bar and asked if they had a customer with a bright orange nose. They did.
Jocko Madigan speaking.
Jocko, this is Novak. What'd you find out?
Ah, Patsy. Just enjoying a small refresher after some very excellent reading.
For instance?
Sheila Howard Lampson. She started seeing the professor back in 46. There was a scandal, the nasty kind, and the professor's first wife, Barbara, jumped off the bridge, the Bay Bridge.
Yeah, go on.
A month after she married the professor, Sheila was mentioned in every gossip column in town. So the professor took off on a scientific trip to China. A month ago, he was murdered in a Shanghai hotel, and a hatful of emeralds was stolen. The authorities figured that the murder was premature.
What do you mean?
Well, the professor had 3 major operations, and at the time of the murder, he had less than a week to go.
What about Haynes?
Haynes is one of those black sheep that wealthy families have, cut off without a penny. He's one of Sheila Lampson's escorts, and he's now on his way back from the Orient on the SS Calcutta. Anything else?
Jocko, I could kiss you.
Patsy, you stick to your line, and I'll stick to mine.
Well, the puzzle was still a sack full of holes and question marks, but at least Jocko's leads had a little juice in them. I found the Lampson house in the best part of the Seacliff district. It was one of those big, nervous joints hanging by its shutters to the side of a steep drop that slid down sharp into the Pacific. All green trim and stucco the color of mortgages. The front doorbell was wearing out in my hand when the maid showed up, and then she was tongue-tied. She didn't know a thing except good money when it was offered. And then she told me I'd find Mrs. Lampson in the second-floor sitting room. She went away. I found the sitting room all right, but Mrs. Lampson wasn't there. So I followed on through till I came to a bedroom with a bright red ceiling and a lived-in feeling. Reminded you of something Henry VIII might order for a bridal suite. She was sitting next to the couch holding a martini and making noises like a leopard on a honeymoon.
Hello. Well, call me baby.
Yeah. You always wear handkerchiefs to parties?
Mm-hmm. Saves time. Dressing. You're nice. Have a drink?
I'll fix them.
Oh, you are nice. What's your name?
Novak. What's yours?
Billy.
Is that a name or a game?
You're just like Mike. He's my new boyfriend.
This is night off?
Oh, no. He just went downstairs for a minute. Hey, you mix a nice drink, Mr. Novak. Warm.
Yeah. You got a fever or something?
No. Must be the weather, Mr. Novak. You feel it?
You're a big spender, aren't you? What do I do when Mike walks in? Smile?
Oh, Mike's broad-minded.
How about Sheila?
You fix a good drink, Mr. Novak. You ask a lot of questions, too.
Yeah, well, that's because I like answers. Now, what about Sheila?
Hey, if you're going to get rough, I'll call Mike.
All right.
I'm Sheila's sister, and it's much better when you're nice to me.
All right, then let's start being nice, huh?
Mr. Novak, what was that for?
I'm a big spender, too. Here, have another drink.
I think maybe I'll have another you, Mr. Novak. Is that Mike coming upstairs?
Could be, baby. Now, come on, where's Sheila?
Oh, Sheila, who cares? She's downtown anyway. She won't know. Hey, where are you going?
Sorry, baby, I got a date.
I'm not busy. Will I do?
Don't let him leave, Mike.
If he does, he's going to walk through me.
I'm sorry, baby, he's not my type. Mike was a tall, wide package, so I gave him a bargain offer. He didn't fold after 2, but he had a kind of hurt look in his eye when I hit him the 3rd time, like I didn't know he could take a hint. When he wound up and hit the floor, every window in the house rattled, and I figured the Berkeley seismograph got a cheap thrill. I made it as far as the front door when I heard a car pull up in the driveway. When I got to the window, a dame and a guy were getting out of a new Nash and heading for the door. The guy was a middle-class gunsel, but if the gal was Sheila Lampson, she made nice opposition. Well, I couldn't wait around to see. I finally managed to make my apartment without having one of Hellman's men pick me up, and when I got in, Jocko was just pouring himself another glass of Green Dreams and posing in the mirror like a man of distinction. The stiff was still there on the floor next to a glass of ice water.
Patsy, I don't approve of your choice of party guests.
The guy's dead, Jocko.
Oh. Well, in that case, I'll overlook it. This is the friend you were telling me about? When are you due at the gas chamber, Patsy?
Any phone calls?
Oh, now that you mention it, yes.
Hellman?
Regularly on the quarter hour. Not very coherent, but I got the idea he's looking for you. Also a call from the hospital. They wanted to know the whereabouts of a Miss Georgie Lampson.
What do you mean?
Seems she disappeared a few hours ago from one of their wards.
Oh.
Patsy, you look worried. Perhaps a sampling of this delicate dollar ambrosia would help. Try it.
No, thanks.
Suit yourself, Patsy. Myself, I'm an old subscriber to the Socrates plan of self-destruction. If you want it done right, do it yourself. By the way, have you noticed our friend's hands lately?
Huh?
It looks like he's entertaining a scrap of paper in his right hand.
Yeah, I see it. Well, let me see here.
He seems kind of stingy with it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I got it.
Uh-huh. Oh, an old envelope. Not even a coded letter to puzzle over.
I'll settle for the address, Jocko. Take a look.
Captain Edward Small, SS Calcutta, Paramount Line, Shanghai. Well, that's nice. Shall we have another drink?
Later, Jocko. Right now we haven't got the time.
If that's who I think it is, Patsy, you're going to have lots of time. I'll just whip up a short one.
Novak talking.
Listen, smart boy, and listen hard. This is for the last time. You check in here in 10 minutes or I'll send out an all points. Dead or alive, Novak.
All right, Hellman. There's a dead guy here in my apartment right now. His name's Captain Edward Small, off the Calcutta.
I don't need any more bodies, Novak. I can hang you twice with what I got.
All right, copper. But if you want your picture in the paper tomorrow, you can meet me out in Seacliff in 15 minutes. 48 Camino Drive. When I hung up the phone, most of the puzzle straightened out like wet wash in a dry wind. Well, there's one thing you can count on. When you bet on miracles, you buy a ticket straight through. I finally pulled up at the Lampson place, and I started looking around for Hellman. The joint looked about as crowded as a Kremlin breakfast for Senator Taft. I was taking a fast check, trying to figure how far they could have gone, when Hellman fought his way through the box hedge for the driveway. We circled down behind the garage and around and back of the house. We just made it in time for the curtain scene. Sheila Lampson was backing down slow toward the seawall, waving her arms in the air and begging every inch of the way. And Georgie stumbled after her like the avenging angel, and she had a gun. She had a coat tossed over her hospital gown, and the look in her eyes told the whole story. Tears and hate and lots of bullets.
Novak, you've got to stop her. She's crazy. She's crazy. She wanted to kill me.
What's so crazy about that?
You're sweet, Patsy, but you weren't invited. Don't get too close to the animals.
It's your gun, Georgie. Don't let it hang you. This is Hellman from Homicide.
No good, Patsy. This one's for me. Isn't it, Sheila?
Georgie,
isn't it for me?
Please, Georgie, don't. Novak, stop her. Stop her before it's too late.
All right, girls, let's break it up.
Be good, Copper. You too, Patsy.
It's your neck. It won't look good stretched.
Please, Georgie.
Don't eat that, Sheila. Not yet. First, I want to tell you how clever you are. How sweet you looked at my mother's funeral. How you ruined my father. How to screech with other men, Sheila. Oh, it was magnificent.
Georgie, please. I didn't know, Georgie. I didn't know. I swear I'll make it up to you. Please.
One other thing, Sheila. Listen to me, Sheila. Those emeralds you've got. The ones you sent Haynes to Shanghai for. The ones he killed my father for. They were glass, Sheila. 10-cent green glass. You hear, Sheila? Glass.
Please. Georgie, please.
Georgie, watch her. Sheila's got a gun.
Patsy.
Take it easy, baby. You got a long trip.
She's dead. Isn't she, Patsy? She's dead.
She didn't die, baby. With that much lead, she sank.
It burns, Patsy. It burns.
It'll cool. The fog's starting to come in.
Remember the party, Patsy?
Yeah, I remember.
Then say it, Lampson. Please say it now. Say it.
Yeah, Georgie, I'd say it, but you're not listening. We found a letter in Georgie's coat pocket that told most of the story, and then Hellman grabbed Mike and Sheila's sister and sweated the rest out of them. Well, it wasn't a pretty story, but it moved. When Sheila spent the professor broke and he checked out over in China, Georgie decided to blow the whistle on her. She made up that phony yarn about the emeralds, and then she let Haynes murder her father and walk off with them. They were glass. To make it look good, Haynes played pallbearer and took the boat back with the body. But not before Georgie tipped the captain and the first mate about that sack of emeralds Haynes was supposed to have. So they went to work. They robbed Haynes and planted a fake for a fake. It was a real cat and mouse game. Georgie only made one mistake, but sometimes that's all it takes. She flew back here a few days before the Calcutta got in so that she could be around for the payoff. One of Sheila's pals must have spotted her and trailed her to my place. And then the sapping started. That was the same night the Calcutta got in, and people started checking packages and pulling triggers. When Sheila found her package was a fake, she figured Haynes was being cute, so he got it first. And then she went out after that original fake. She tried to double up and hang Haynes' body on me and get rid of Georgie at the same time. But Georgie didn't die easy. I don't know how the captain got on to me, probably through Sheila. But her Gunsel friends took care of the first mate with a knife when he got anxious. Well, when the dust lifted and they counted cold noses, it was a real devil's game. Wherever he was, Georgie's old man must have been holding his sides and rolling in the aisles. Yeah, a real plum. And Sheila found out when you get close enough to the seed, the taste gets bitter. Well, Hellman asked only one question. How come a smart girl like Georgie bought something as stupid as revenge? I don't know. She was a lot better at a lot of other things.
Cast included Lois Andrews, Steve Brody, Herbert Litton, Jerry Hausner, Ivan Ditmars, Ray Erlenborn, and Hal Sawyer. This is a Larry Finley transcription, brought to you from Hollywood.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, the first and only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to forgery detail. 2 men have been passing bad checks in your city. You have descriptions of both of them. You know the names on the checks. Your job, get 'em. First, we read you the 6 months report, then the 8 months report. Now, here is 10 full months of scientific evidence on smoking Chesterfields.
A medical specialist is making regular bi-monthly examinations of a group of people from various walks of life. 45% of this group have smoked Chesterfields for an average of over 10 years. After 10 full months, almost a year now, the specialist reports he observed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses of the group from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report. And Chesterfield is the first and only premium quality cigarette throughout, in both regular and king size. Fine tobaccos, the world's best, kept tasty and fresh, wrapped in the finest cigarette paper money can buy. Yes, everything that goes into your Chesterfield makes it the premium quality cigarette. And it's the only cigarette that gives you scientific evidence of real smoking pleasure. Try much milder Chesterfield today. They're best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, April 8th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working a day watch out of forgery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Welsh. My name's Friday. We were on the way back from the main jail, and it was 9:46 a.m. when we got to room 29. Forgery.
Well, that wraps that one up.
Yeah. When are we going to arraign him?
Oh, figure day after tomorrow.
Okay. Well, let's get started on these other crime reports, huh?
Yeah.
Friday, Smith?
Yeah, Skipper.
See you a minute?
Sure.
Sit down.
What's up, Skipper?
How's the Clemens thing going?
Oh, we just talked to him. Says he'll plead guilty.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want you to take a look at this.
Okay. Oh, border checks, huh?
Yeah. I want you two to go to work on it.
Are we going to work with Saunders and Bomey on it?
I want you to take it over.
Well, is there a case in it?
Yeah, but we got a call from San Francisco last night. They got Richards up there.
Oh?
At least they know he's operating in the Bay Area. Saunders and Bomey left last night. They've been on that one for the last year. Looks like they can clean it up. They get back before you bust this, they'll give you a hand.
Well, what's the pitch on it, Skipper?
It's all there.
Let's take a look, huh, Joe?
Mm-hmm. Sure a bunch of paper.
Here's we can figure they've been working a little over a year.
Yeah. All the checks are drawn on big companies here. You any idea where they're getting them?
No, not yet.
How far we got on it?
Saunders and Bomey have been working on it. They got about halfway through the list of print shops in the city, then this thing up north came up.
Mm-hmm. Let me see some of the checks,
Oh,
will you, Joe?
Sure, here.
We got rubber companies, oil companies, department stores, aircraft.
How about the ID when they pass them?
The works, driver's licenses, social security cards, lodge cards. Looks legit enough. Been a lot of people taking.
Descriptions always match, do they?
Close enough, yeah. Now and then there's a little difference, but they all match up close enough. Still using the same bad border.
Uh-huh.
You notice that even though they changed the name of the company on the check, changed the heading all around, they use the same border on all of them.
Yeah, I see.
Look, there in the lower left-hand corner. See?
Yeah. Plate's broken. Little break in the border.
Mm-hmm.
All the checks they pass have the same thing.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't notice it unless you're really looking for it, would you?
Well, that's it. All the reports are there. Everything that's been done. It's in your lap now. Need anything, let me know.
Right. Okay, Skipper, we'll get right on it. Well, from the package here, sure looks like they're scoring good, doesn't it?
How much they gotten?
Well, let's see. Figures about $70,000.
Huh. All the bulletins we put out. Know the people you cash checks for.
Yeah.
70,000. It's a lot of money, isn't it?
Sure is.
If people would just read those bulletins. They never learn, huh?
10:02 a.m. We started through the package. The check forgers had been working for over a year. They'd passed phony checks all over the southern part of the state. The amounts on the checks varied from $50 to $275. They carried 10 different endorsements. The names and signatures had been run through our files, but we'd gotten no identification. The writing had been checked by Don Meyer, but there were no examples in the files that matched. During the next 2 days, we finished canvassing the print shops in the area in an attempt to find where the bad checks were being printed. We came up with no new information. Additional circulars were gotten out to all stores and check cashing agencies in the area, giving the description of the two men and lists of the companies the checks had been drawn upon. Photographs of the checks pointing out the border defect were also distributed. 2 weeks went by. No results. Informants had been checked and rechecked. Known forgers had been questioned. The victims of the forgers had been shown the mug books. They failed to make any identification. From what they'd told us, we had the artist in the crime lab draw up a composite picture of the two men. Copies of these were distributed to the people and organizations most likely to cash the phony checks. Lieutenant Saunders and Sergeant Bomey finished their investigation up in San Francisco and joined us in the search for the forgers. Tuesday, April 27th, 10:14 a.m. Frank and I checked back into the office.
Lousy thing. Yeah. Clutch was out. You know, I thought it was the pin. Sure felt like it. Funny feeling when you press down, there's nothing there.
Did he say when it would be ready?
I thought he could have it for us in the morning. I'll check the business office and get another car.
We'll try to get a good one, huh? The last one we drew was about to fall apart.
Yeah.
I'll get it. Forgery, Friday. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, that's right. What? Uh-huh. What was that address again? Yes, ma'am, I have it. Yeah. Yeah, well, do everything you can. Yes, ma'am. Right away. And get your coat.
What is it?
Check cashing agency out on Pico. The guy's there now. Frank and I left the office and checked out another car. We drove out to the check cashing agency on Pico. It was located near a large tool and die plant, and they advertised that they cashed payroll checks. 10:33 a.m. We parked the car and went into the store.
You the police?
Yes, ma'am. Are you the one that placed the call?
I sure am. I stalled him like you said. That's him back there.
Uh-huh.
I told him that he'd have to wait for the manager to get back and open the safe. He got pretty huffy about it at first. Then he said he'd wait. I think he's been drinking.
Yes, ma'am. All right, we'll talk to him.
He's the one. You'll see. I spotted him right away. Took one look at him, and I knew he was the one you've been looking for.
All right, ma'am. Let's go.
Sure fits the description.
He's the one.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
You wanted to cash a check, did you?
Yeah, that's right.
What if we could see your identification?
The young lady has it.
And here it is. His driver's license, his Social Security card.
All right, thank you. Leslie P. Bergen, is that right?
That's what it says.
Yeah, we've seen it before.
What if we could see that check?
You bet. I'll get it for you.
Well, look, there's no reason to make a federal case out of this. Give me the check and I'll go someplace else. I tell you, though, you act like this to everybody who comes in here, you ain't going to stay in business long.
Yeah.
Here you are, officer. Here's the check.
What's she talking about?
What?
Officer. She called him officer. What are you, cops?
You called it. How about it, Joe?
Yeah, broken border. Where'd you get this check, mister?
Well, what do you mean, where did I get it? They gave it to me at the plant.
Gave you this check, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Say, what's this all about anyway? How come you guys are so interested?
I wonder if we can see what you got in your pockets.
No, I don't have to show you. It's none of your business.
You been drinking, mister?
None of your business. You got no call to act like
All right,
this.
come on. Let's see what's in your pockets.
Well, what's that going to prove?
Now, look, Bergen, if you haven't done anything wrong, then you got no reason not to show us, have you?
Yeah? Oh, all right.
Put the things here on the counter, huh?
All right. You guys going to regret this, you know.
Is that right?
You just bet. I got a lot of friends in pretty high places, and they're going to hear about this. You guys be sorry you ever started this.
All right, come on. You can go a little faster than that, can't you?
All right, here. Here's some keys, change, money clip.
All right, pick up the money and keep that with you. Now, just the money. Now the back pockets.
Back pockets?
That's right. We want to see what's in them, too.
Well, all righty. I'm glad to cooperate with the law. Nice to know you guys are this alert. I'm glad to know you're doing your duty.
Yeah, come on. Let's get to those back pockets, shall we?
Say, what's your name?
Friday.
Cop, huh?
That's right.
Friday, huh? Yeah, what's your first name?
Joe.
Joe Friday.
That's right. Now, come on. Get the stuff out of your back pockets, will you? Stall long
I
enough.
bet you think I'm trying to hide something in there, huh? Well, you're wrong. I got nothing to hide. There's my wallet, comb, and that's all.
This key here?
Yeah?
Keys to your car?
No, I don't have a car.
Oh, that's not true, officer. I saw him drive up. That's his car out in front, the red Ford.
Is that right, Bergen?
Well, now, maybe it is, and then maybe again it isn't.
You want to check on it, Frank?
Yeah.
Here's the keys.
I hate to think of it. I really do.
What's that?
Trouble you guys are going to get into when my friends in high places hear about this.
Yeah, sure. Let's look at your wallet, huh?
Why, you bet. Always glad to cooperate with the law.
No, you hold it. Just open it up. Any money in it?
I told you the money's in the money clip. Right here. You told me to keep it. You don't remember very well, do
Well,
you?
these your cards here? Business cards?
Let me see.
Here.
Yeah, certainly, they're mine.
Leslie Paul Bergen, business advisor. I thought you said you worked at the plant.
Part-time job. What's your name?
Friday.
What's your first name?
Joe, I told you.
Joe Friday, huh? I'd remember that and tell my friends in high places.
How about your coat pockets? Anything in them?
Well, cigarettes, maybe handkerchiefs, matches. That's about all.
All right, let's see them.
All righty. Sure nice to know that we got officers like you, always doing your duty. Yeah, see? Nothing.
Uh-huh. Where'd you say you got this check?
What check?
This one here, the one you tried to cash.
Oh, yeah, that check.
Yeah, that check. That's the one.
Well, I got it from a friend. He asked me to cash it for him. Just so happened I had the money, so I did. Anything wrong with cashing a check for a friend?
How come the check's made out to you?
They always make checks out to me. Always do down at the plant.
Now, look, mister, you got your stories all mixed up here. Let's go downtown and get this thing straightened out, shall we?
Joe.
Yeah.
We hit it. 23 checks all made out to him. Found him in the glove compartment of the car. The car's registered to a Leslie R. Doyle.
What's his name?
Smith.
First name?
Frank Smith.
What is this?
Oh, he's a happy drunk.
Oh.
These checks yours, Doyle?
Well, let me see. Never saw those in my life.
Well, we found them in your car.
Oh, I certainly don't understand that. In my car?
Yes, that's right. Now, come on, let's go downtown.
Where are we going?
Downtown.
What's your name?
Smith. Frank Smith.
Phony name. You wait till my friends hear about this policeman using your alias. My friend's going to hear about this, you know.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, in high places.
10:57 a.m. The suspect admitted that his true name was Leslie Doyle and that the car belonged to him. We took him to the city hall. Frank ran the name through R&I, but we got no make on him. His prints were rolled, but there was no record on him. A communication was gotten off to George Brereton, CII Sacramento, and one was sent to Washington. 11:30 a.m. We took him to the interrogation room to question him.
I told you, I don't know where the checks came from.
They were found in your car.
So they were found in my car. That mean they're mine?
Looks like you had something to do with it. They all were made out to you, the phony ID you got there.
Well, maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's some of the idea of a gag.
Well,
huh?
that's not very funny, is it, Doyle?
Well, you don't have to tell me. Say, you got another aspirin. My head's coming apart.
Frank, you got...
Yeah. Here.
Yeah, thanks. Got some water?
I'll get some for you.
No, never mind. I'll take it without. Thought you might have a tap here.
What?
Sure. You turn it on and let it drip, and then you don't give people none until they answer your questions.
Yeah, sure.
You take pills like I do, you get to the point where the only important thing is to get them in your stomach.
All right. Now, how about the checks, huh?
I told you 100 times I don't know anything about
Then
them.
maybe we better fill you in, huh?
Yeah, go ahead. I like to hear.
We got you for trying to pass a check this morning, didn't we? You want to cop out to that?
So maybe one check. Like I said, that's no crime. I cashed it for a guy. Maybe it was the same guy who planted the other ones.
Oh, why don't you come off it, Doyle? Let's stop playing games here. We made you for the forgeries, and you know it. Your description matches the one we got. You turn up with 23 checks made out to you, all drawn on different companies. The border on the checks matches the ones we're looking for. We got witnesses who identify you. Now, why not save a lot of time and admit it? Come on, Doyle. Doyle?
Don't look like there's any other way, does it?
Not from here.
Well, if I cop out, will it help any?
What do you mean?
Like you said, now let's stop playing games. Will it help me out any?
You're liable for 1 to 14 on each count.
And if I help?
All we can do is see that it's marked down that way.
That's all?
That's all.
Well, then I got nothing to lose by not talking.
That's the wrong way to look at it.
You guys haven't come up with any other way.
We don't make deals, Doyle. You know that.
Well, all right. I'll play it that way, too.
Now, let's get this 510, huh? Your true name, Leslie Richard Doyle?
Yeah.
Charge, suspicion 470 PC, forgery, April 27. Where do you live, Doyle?
I told you once.
Well, tell us again, would you?
19,540 North Edgehill Avenue.
Is that a private home?
No, it's an apartment.
What's the number?
Say, you got another aspirin. This headache's the worst one I ever had.
Don't worry, they're going to get worse. We continued to talk to Doyle. He told us that he'd come from back east about 1.5 years ago. He said that he'd never been arrested and he had no record. He refused to tell us who his confederate was in the forgery operation, and he told us that we'd get no help from him in proving that he was mixed up in it. We booked him at the main jail, and then we got in touch with Lieutenant Saunders and Sergeant Bomey. Together with them, we arranged a special show-up. The victims of the forgers were asked to be present, and 12 of them gave us a positive identification of Doyle as the man who'd victimized them. The others said that he was not the man. When confronted with this information, Doyle confessed to being one of the men involved, but he still refused to name his accomplice. A week went by. Each day we questioned Doyle. Gradually, we pieced together a picture of their operation. Doyle still refused to tell us where we could find his partner. The kickback from Washington and Sacramento arrived, but gave us no new information. All known friends and associates of Doyle were checked out. From them, we found out that Doyle did work with another man, but that none of the witnesses could identify him. The rumble was that the two men had split up because of Doyle's drinking. We were able to get little other information on the missing partner. Wednesday, May 5th, 11:40 a.m. Frank and I checked into Captain Welsh's office.
How about it?
No, nothing, Skipper. He says that he knew Doyle, but he doesn't know the other man.
Any of the other leads pan out?
No, none of them.
Where do you go from here?
Well, talking to Doyle's friend, we found out they used to hang out down there on Wilshire and Olympic. You know that area down there?
Yeah.
Well, Frank and I have been talking it over. Looks like about the only way to bring them out is to go looking for them.
Yeah, so you guys go down there, huh?
Well, we checked on that. The bunch down there aren't too chummy. They don't talk to strangers much, so we figured that maybe the best idea would be for one of us to go undercover. Maybe pose as a thief, buy our stolen goods, something like that. We might get a line on them that way.
Yeah, might work.
Well, not much choice now. We've tried about everything else.
Well, which one of you is going to do it?
Well, I thought maybe I'd be the one.
No, I don't know if that's such a good idea.
Why not, Skipper? Joe took the last one.
Yeah, but didn't you work that area when you were in Vice?
Yeah, but that was a couple of years ago.
Still might be some people down there who remember you. You better take this one on Friday.
All right.
When do you figure to start?
I thought in the morning.
Okay, work out the way you're going to keep in contact. All the details will give you the help you need to swing it.
Right, Skipper.
I don't know, Joe. Seems like you're always the one to draw this duty. Ought to be my turn sometime.
I'll trade with you.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. Smokers all over America are changing to Chesterfield because Chesterfields are premium quality throughout in both regular and king size.
King size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette. That's certainly important to every king size smoker. Of course, it's the same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield. There's absolutely no difference, except that king-size Chesterfield gives you more than a fifth longer smoke.
So remember, the modern way to sell cigarettes is the Chesterfield way. First and only cigarette with premium quality in both regular and king size.
Chesterfield is much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Thursday, May 6th, 9:30 a.m. I left my apartment and went down to the vicinity of Wilshire and Olympic. I spent an hour wandering around the bars in the area, and then I checked into a small hotel down on South Hill. I registered as Joe Kelvin from Phoenix, Arizona. I told the clerk that I was in town on business and that I'd be there as long as it took me to conclude the deal I was working on. I spent the afternoon in a bar on 4th Street, and I got friendly with the bartender. I asked him if he knew Leslie Doyle, and he told me that he'd seen him around, but that he didn't know him very well. I asked if he'd ever seen Doyle with another man. He said that he had, but he didn't know who he was. The bartender went on to say that the two men had frequent arguments and that they usually ended up with the other man walking out and Doyle going on a drunk. He told me that I might be able to get some additional information on the man in a cafe over on 5th Street. I spent the next 3 days wandering around that area, eating my meals in the restaurant. At the end of that time, I had no new leads. Frank, Saunders, and Bomey were still working on the case, and Frank told me that the bad border check passing was still going on. Further conversations with Doyle netted them nothing. At the end of a week, I'd gotten to know one of the waitresses at the restaurant, and she indicated that she knew Doyle's partner, that she knew him merely as Mac. She was unable to tell me where I could find him. I got in touch with Frank Smith, and he ran the name through the moniker file in R&I, but he got no make. Friday, May 14th, 10:56 a.m. I stopped for breakfast.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, Agnes.
What'll it be this morning?
Well, let's see. Orange juice, couple of eggs, toast, and coffee.
Eggs sunny side up?
Yeah. How's the bacon?
Great, just like always.
All right, couple of pieces.
Yeah.
Want to bring the coffee right away?
Yeah.
Is that the morning paper?
Yeah.
Thank you. What happened to the sports page?
Here. You don't look good this morning, Dad and I.
Yeah. I had trouble getting to sleep last night.
Mm-hmm. How's the deal coming?
Oh, all right. I should line it up in a couple of days.
What business you in, anyway?
Oh, you could call me kind of a broker, I guess.
That right?
Yeah. Coffee's good and hot.
Yeah. Just what does that mean,
What, the coffee?
being a broker?
Oh, I buy things for a price and I resell them for more.
Things you buy. They hot?
Well, why do you ask that?
Just wondered. Rumbles around that you're in town buying stolen stuff.
Is that right?
That's what they say. Is it true?
I don't know. I haven't been talking to the same people as you.
That the reason you want to get in touch with Mac?
Well, look, if I answer that, I've answered the first question, haven't I?
Yeah.
That the reason, Joe?
Oh, it might be. Where's the sports page? Is it around? Why, do you know where I can get in touch with him?
I like you, Joe.
Yeah, well, I think you're nice, too. I'd like to have the sports page if you could find it for me.
No, I mean it. I think you're all right.
Well, thanks, Agnes. That's nice of you to say that.
You've never tried to get fresh. Different from most of the guys that come in here.
Is that right?
Sure. Guys all the time getting fresh, asking me out. Not you, Joe. You got a girl in Phoenix?
Oh, I might have, yeah. I haven't been back for a while, you know.
Mm-hmm. Lucky girl. What's she like, Joe?
Who's that?
Girl in Phoenix.
Oh, I guess she's a little like you. She's a nice girl.
You want to get married?
Well, I don't know. It kind of depends on this deal here I'm working on.
It'd be nice if you got married. I'm going to get married someday.
That'll be nice.
It'd be real nice if you got married. Depends on this deal, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. I'll tell you how to get in touch with Mac.
11:14 a.m. I continued to talk to Agnes. She told me that she didn't know where Mac lived, but that she could put me in touch with a man who might. She gave me the address, and I drove over to the place. It was a rooming house on South Vermont. I talked to the man. He told me that he'd seen Mac during the past week and that as far as he knew, the suspect was still living in an apartment house on 7th Street. 1:15 p.m. I called the office, and Frank Smith came out to meet me. We arrived at the apartment house and talked to the manager, Mrs. Nancy Holmes. She told us that she had a tenant named McLean who answered the description we gave her. She told us that McLean had lived in the apartment for the past 8 months. She went on to say that she didn't know what business he was in, but that up until a few weeks ago he was in the company of a man called Doyle. Her description of the man matched that of the suspect. 2:46 p.m. In the company of the manager, we went through McLean's apartment. We found 14 checks made out to him, and all of them drawn on large companies. All of them had the same broken printed border. Frank and I waited for him to return. 5:32 p.m.
What are you doing here?
Your name Gene McLean?
Yeah, who are you?
Police officers.
These checks here.
Where'd you get those?
On the desk over there.
You got no right to go through my things.
We'll talk about that downtown. Come on, let's go.
Now, look, maybe you guys made a mistake, huh? Maybe you got the wrong fella. Can't we work something out? This is a pretty good thing. There's enough for everybody. I'm sure we can make a deal, huh? No reason to act like this.
Where's the press, mister?
Huh?
The press you print these up on, where is it?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything about a press. I don't even know what you're talking about.
It won't work, McLean. We got Doyle.
What's he told you?
All we need.
Well, then he's told you where the press is, too.
We're asking you about that, mister.
Well, like I said, I don't know what you're talking about.
You drive a car, McLean?
Yeah.
Where'd you park it?
On the street. No garages in this crummy place.
No, that's not true, Mr. McLean.
Oh, keep your nose out of this. You've been spouting off too much already.
That's not true, Mr. McLean. I heard everything from the hall. These officers asked me some questions, and I answered them. Police have never given me any trouble. 10 years I've been managing this place. Never had no trouble before. Now you come in here and louse things up.
Oh, turn it off. Come on, let's get out of here.
Now, you just wait a minute. Come in here and call this a crummy place. You didn't know I heard you, did you? Well, I did. Listen, officer, he's lying when he says he doesn't have a garage. He may keep his car out on the street. Maybe that part's true, but he's got a garage. You just bet he has.
Come on, let's get out of here. Stick around here and listen to this loony old bag. She's cracking up.
Where is the garage, ma'am?
I'll show you. It's just down the street. It's an old place. They rent it from the Pearsons. Just down the street. I'll show you.
Crummy old bat. Real harpy. Sticking her nose in where it don't belong.
Don't you talk to me like that. I don't know what it is that these officers are looking for.
Yeah?
But I'll just bet they'll find it there.
6:27 p.m. Mrs. Holmes showed us down the street to a garage set behind a large house. The door was locked, but McLean produced the key. We went over the place, but we found nothing. 6:55 p.m.
Satisfied now? Told you there wasn't anything wrong. I told you you wouldn't find anything here.
It's got to be here someplace, Joe.
Yeah. How long you had this place, McLean?
A couple of months.
Now, we can check the owner on that.
Aren't you guys ever going to give up? You maybe got me in custody, but that don't mean you're ever going to be able to prove anything.
I think maybe we'll be able to.
Joe.
Yeah.
Take a look here. On the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Look here, so the old wooden floor and most of the nails are all rusted over. And right here, they look pretty new. Looks like the wood's been moved.
Mm-hmm. How about this, McLean?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Grab that hammer, will you, Frank, over there?
Yeah, sure. Here you go.
All right. Now maybe we can take a look.
You guys are wasting your time. You know that, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's our time. Don't you worry about it. You want to give me a hand here, Frank?
Yeah.
All right. You got it?
I got it.
All right.
It's all dug out down there.
Yeah. Let's take a look. Something down there. How about this, McLean?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The press, huh?
Yeah. Wait a minute. A package over here. Let's see what's in it.
Look, you got no right to come in here and tear up the place. I'm going to see a lawyer about this.
How about it, Joe?
Yeah. Printing press. Take a look.
Engraver's place. Look, here's the broken border.
Yep. All right, McLean, let's go.
You just wait. My lawyer's going to hear about this.
Is that right?
Yeah, you bet it's right. Come in here, tear up the floor. You got no warrant, you got no right. Sick of being shoved around by you guys.
You haven't got any beef, McLean.
I'll decide that.
No, you're wrong.
Huh?
Man. Somebody else is going to do that.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 25th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, here are two important things to remember. Everything that goes into your Chesterfield makes it the premium quality cigarette, and it's the only cigarette that gives scientific evidence of real smoking pleasure. Try much milder Chesterfields today. They're best for you.
Leslie Paul Doyle and Jean Rowell McLean were tried and convicted of 10 counts of forgery. They received their sentences as prescribed by law and are now serving their term in the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. Forgery is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1, nor more than 14 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, with long-range aircraft and atomic bombs, the enemy is only hours away from where you live. Our Air Defense Command relies on radar to detect enemy aircraft. But it is possible for low-flying planes to remain undetected. You can help defend America by volunteering for the Ground Observer Corps, a group of civilian men, women, and teenagers who report the presence and activity of aircraft. For information, write or phone your nearest Civil Defense Center.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Art Gilmore, Whit Connor. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show Tuesday night on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield, regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight, it's Adventure with Barry Craig, confidential investigator on NBC.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, the first and only cigarette in America to give you premium quality in both regular and king size, brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A young woman tells you that her mother has disappeared. There's no trace of her whereabouts. Foul play is suspected. Your job, investigate. First, we read you the 6-month report. Then the 8-month report. Now, here is 10 full months of scientific evidence on smoking Chesterfields.
A medical specialist is making regular bi-monthly examinations of a group of people from various walks of life.
45% of this group have smoked Chesterfields for an average of over 10 years. After 10 full months, almost a year now, the specialist reports he observed no adverse effects on the nose, throat, and sinuses of the group from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report. And Chesterfield is the first and only cigarette with premium quality throughout, in both regular and king size. Fine tobaccos, the world's best. Costly moistening agents to keep them always tasty, always fresh. And the finest cigarette paper money can buy. Yes, everything that goes into your Chesterfield makes it the premium quality cigarette. And it's the only cigarette that gives you this scientific evidence of real smoking pleasure. Try much milder Chesterfield today. They're best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 5th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 10:46 a.m. when we got to 4298 North Estrella Street. The front door.
Hot.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yes, Mrs. What's her name?
Randall, Ella Randall.
Mm-hmm. Did she say what this was about?
I just said that her mother had disappeared. She wanted to talk to us about it.
Uh-huh.
Yes?
Ms. Randall?
Yes, that's right.
Police officers, ma'am.
Oh, yes, come in, won't you?
Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am.
Warm out. I think I'll leave the door open. Hope the flies don't come in.
My name's Friday, Mrs. Randall. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do?
How do you do, ma'am?
Could you tell us just what it is you want to see us about?
Well, of course. Sit down, won't you?
Thank you, Miss Randall.
Would you like some tea or something? I have some ready in the kitchen.
No, thanks.
Just what was it about your mother, Mrs. Randall?
Now that you're here, I guess maybe I could be wrong about it. I was so sure.
Well, just what is it, ma'am?
Well, Mama's gone. I don't know how long it's been, but she isn't with Papa.
Well, what's your mother's name, Ms. Randall?
Bertha Schroeder, my father's Henry.
Uh-huh. What makes you think that there might be something wrong? You said on the phone that you were pretty sure that something had happened to her.
Well, yes, I guess I ought to start at the beginning. It's kind of a dull story, but maybe it's the best way.
All right, ma'am.
You sure you wouldn't like a glass of iced tea?
No, thanks, ma'am. Thanks just the same.
Mind if I get some? Just take a minute.
All right.
Hey, it's a nice place, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Sure decorated nice. Hey, look at those trivets.
What?
Trivets. Those little things over the fireplace, those brass things.
Yeah.
Faithman won some of those. He used to use them to hold irons, you know. They get hot, and you put them on the ironing board so they won't burn the cloth.
Put them on those things.
Yeah.
I brought a couple extra glasses in case you decided you wanted some.
Well, if you just go ahead with the story, Ms. Randall.
Yes, well, to understand it, really, you'd have to know Papa.
Mm-hmm.
He came over to this country when he was just a boy, only about 16 or so. Landed here and couldn't speak more than a dozen words of English. Went to work in New York. Worked as a construction man. Worked hard. Met Mama there, and they got married. Right after that, they moved out here. Bought a house, and Papa went into business for himself.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, maybe it was the life he'd had when he got here. I don't know, but he always treated Mama like she was so much dirt. Mean. Time went on, he got meaner to her. Remember when us kids were in school, he used to yell at her all the time. He'd get in a mood, and he wouldn't talk to any of us for days at a time.
Is that so?
I never knew how Mama took it. She never said anything, just stand there and let him scream at her. Then when he was finished, she'd just kind of shrug her shoulders and take his kids out of the house, walk around for a while, and then go back to the house. By that time, Papa was so mad he wouldn't talk to anyone.
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
Well, all of us kids married young. I got married when I was 16. The rest of the kids weren't much older than that. Papa didn't want us around after that. Said for us to get out and make our own way. Said that we had to. So there's no reason that we shouldn't. You sure you don't want some of this?
No, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Would you mind going ahead, Ms. Randall?
Yeah, yes. A couple of months ago, I tried to call Mama. The operator told me that the phone had been disconnected.
Beg your pardon?
The operator told me that the phone had been disconnected when I tried to get hold of Mama.
I see.
Now, I waited a couple of days. You know, I figured that maybe she'd call me.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, she didn't. You see, once we were out of the house, none of us went back. Papa's retired, and none of us wanted to see him. It's a terrible thing to say, Mr. Friday, but it's true.
Ma'am?
We all hated him, all of us kids, for what he'd done to us, the beatings and all. But most for what he'd done to Mama. She was only 52, and she looked like she was 92. It was terrible the way he treated her.
I see.
And like I said, we'd never go over there, but Mama come to see us whenever she could. She'd come over, visit for a little bit, talk about the kids and things.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I didn't hear from her, and I got a little worried that maybe she was sick. If she was, I know that Papa wouldn't tell us, so I went over to the old house and I rang the bell. I was kind of braced because I thought I'd see Papa and there'd be an argument, but there wasn't.
Ma'am?
No argument.
Oh.
Papa didn't answer the door. Some young woman answered it, and I asked if I could see Mrs. Schroeder. Right away, I knew there was something wrong.
Well, how was that, ma'am?
Well, I could see inside the front door. The living room had all been changed around. There was new furniture. It looked like the walls had been painted, too.
Mm-hmm. What did the woman say when you asked for your mother?
She said they didn't live there anymore. Said that they'd rented the house, and that they'd been living there for the past month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at first, I don't think I believed her. I asked her who rented the house to her, and she said Papa did. Then I asked her where he was.
What'd she say to that?
Well, she gave me his address. I went over there to talk to him. It was a little tiny apartment just off La Brea. He said that Mama was gone. I asked him where she'd gone, and he said that she was on a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know him well enough to know that he'd never let her go away. Be no one to darn his socks and keep the house clean.
Yeah?
I wanted to know where she'd gone in this vacation. He said back to the old country. Said she wanted to see her family. He said they'd gotten a letter from her sister that she was sick and wanted to see Mama.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right then I called him a liar. I told him right to his face that he was lying. I kind of thought that he'd hit the ceiling, but he didn't. He just smiled and said that I'd no call to say anything like that. He asked me why I said it.
What was that? You thought that he hit what?
Well, I thought that he'd hit the ceiling when I said that
see.
to him,
Yes,
when I
ma'am.
called him a liar, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I told him that if Mama had left, she'd have written, maybe not to me, but to one of the kids. I called around, and when I didn't hear from her, none of the kids had either. They were all worried about her, too.
I see. Well, what did he say to that?
He said he couldn't understand it, so that he'd gotten a letter, that he'd gotten it not more than a day or so before, that she'd arrived safe and was having a wonderful time.
This was a letter. Huh?
Yes, this was a letter he got from Mama. Well, I told him I thought he was lying. Then he said that he'd show me the letter.
Well, did he?
Well, yeah, he showed me the letter, but he wouldn't show me the envelope, just the letter. He said he'd thrown the envelope away.
Well, was the letter from your mother, ma'am?
Well, sort of from the words it was. Told all about her trip and how she was enjoying herself. Said that she was with her sister and that she was getting better. And then she went on to tell how much she missed Papa and all.
Uh-huh.
And right away I could tell that it wasn't Mama's handwriting. She never wrote that letter.
Beg your pardon?
I said that I knew it wasn't Mama's writing on that letter.
Yeah, well...
Well, that's when I thought about calling you. Then later I remembered something, and then I made up my mind about calling you.
What was that, Miss Randall?
Well, Mama only had one sister living. She died 3 years ago.
11:13 a.m. We continued to talk to Ella Randall. She told us that she was sure that her mother would not have gone off of her own free will. She said that when she last saw Mrs. Schroeder, she appeared to be in good health and in good spirits. We got the names and addresses of the other children in the Schroeder family. We also got the address of the Schroeder relatives in Europe. Ellen Randall told us that we could find her father at the apartment, and she gave us the address. 12:15 p.m. Frank and I drove over to see him.
This is ridiculous, utterly ridiculous.
Well, maybe so, sir, but we'd like to see the letter that came from your wife, if we could.
Officer, I'd like very much to show it to you. Really, I would, but I can't.
Why not, sir?
For the reason that I haven't got it anymore. I destroyed it, burned it a couple of days ago.
Who's your wife staying with, sir?
It was her sister.
Uh-huh. Well, from what we can find out, sir, your wife's sister died 3 years ago. How could your wife be staying with her?
Oh, all right, I suppose I might as well tell you about it. Doesn't seem to be any other way.
All right, sir. Go right ahead.
First off, my wife is not in the old country. She's not with her sister. What you heard is true.
Uh-huh.
Officer, what I have to tell you is very hard to say. I find it hard to find the right words.
That's all right, sir. You just go ahead.
We've been married for 30 years. 30 years, man and wife, and then she did this. Almost broke my heart, officers. Is one of you married?
Oh, yes, sir. My partner here is.
Then you'd know what I mean. You'd know how it is.
Sir?
She left me. Packed her things and left. Didn't give me any reason. Just said she didn't want to be my wife anymore. She said she didn't want to share my roof. Just left. 30 years. All that time, and she left.
Well, what kind of terms were you and your wife on, sir?
What do you mean, this term?
Well, did you and your wife get along all right? Were you happy?
Certainly. As I said, we were married 30 years.
Yes, sir, I understand that, but did you ever have any quarrels?
Sergeant, all married people have quarrels. Maybe the house isn't clean. Maybe dinner isn't big enough. Maybe the children get too loud. All married couples have quarrels. It's part of living together.
Well, from what we understand, sir, some of the arguments you and your wife had were pretty serious.
The people who said that are liars.
They seem pretty sure.
Liars, that's what they are. Oh, sometimes maybe I forget myself, get a little loud, but serious, never.
How'd you get along with your children, Mr. Schroeder?
My children?
Yes, sir, that's right. How'd you get along with them?
All right, they were a little wild. All children over here are like that, wild. They don't respect their elders, but I got along good.
There seems to be a difference of opinion on that, too, sir. We've heard that you and your children weren't on too friendly terms.
And you believe this? You think that this is true? Mr. Friday, Mr. Smith, these were my own flesh and blood. I loved them, still do. Maybe that sounds hard to believe. I can imagine what you've heard. I know. I've heard about this before. I know who told you. You didn't think I'd know, but I do. It was Ella, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Who told us isn't important, sir.
But it is. You see, this is very hard for me to say. 30 years married, and it is all a mistake. I knew it from the start. She was a shrew, Mr. Friday. I knew it right away, a shrew.
Sure?
My wife, Bertha, almost from the day we were married, she was a nag. All I wanted in life was to do a day's work and come home and read the paper, maybe have a pipe of tobacco, rest, work, and have my home. Maybe someday when the children were grown, they'd say, Papa was good. He gave us a good house, and he was good. That's all I wanted.
Yes, sir?
Bertha didn't want that. Always wanted more. For the children, she said. When I wouldn't kill myself with work, she'd get angry, talk loud to me. All I wanted was peace. When the children came along, she taught them just like her.
How do you mean, sir?
Told them what a mean man I was, turned them against me. My own children, taught them to hate their father, their own father.
Yes, sir. Well, why didn't you tell your children that your wife left you?
No, Mr. Friday, I couldn't do that. This would break their hearts. They might hate me, but I don't want them to hate their mother. I couldn't do that. The Lord would never forgive me for that.
Have you heard from your wife at all since she left?
Not a word. I made up that letter so the children wouldn't find out. I couldn't have that.
Did she take any money with her, would you know that?
Yes, she did. We have a joint account at the bank 2 blocks over. She made a large withdrawal the day she left.
Well, Mr. Schroeder, why'd you rent your house?
It was sold by myself. The house was full of Bertha. All the things were hers. Everywhere I looked, I saw her. It hurt me, Mr. Smith. I had to get out, so I came here. It's not much, but I can read the paper and I'll send him a pipe of tobacco. It's peaceful. It's all I need.
Uh-huh. What'd you do with your wife's personal effects?
I don't think I understand, Sergeant.
Her clothes, the furniture from the house, things like that.
They're in storage. I had some men come out and take all of it away, stored it away. I thought that maybe someday Bertha would come back and we could take up where we left off.
Yes, sir. Could you give us the name of the storage company where you left the furniture?
Certainly. It's out on Pico. I can give you the address. Is that important?
No, sir, not really. It's just something we ought to check.
Don't you think it might be better if you told your daughter about all this or about what's happened?
No, Mr. Smith, it wouldn't prove anything. Nothing at all.
Well, that's the way you want it, sir. There's nothing we can do about it.
It's better, Mr. Friday. Believe me, I know. If they hate me, there's not much I can do about it, but I don't want to bring them any unhappiness. I couldn't do that.
Yes, sir.
I'm 65 years old, Mr. Friday. I worked hard all that time, harder than most men. Had 4 children. They're all grown. They have families of their own. All this, and I've got nothing. Nothing but lonely days and empty nights.
Yes.
It's an awful thing, just awful.
Sir?
To work all your life and have nothing to show for it.
1:37 p.m. We got the address of the storage company from Henry Schroeder, and then Frank and I left to go back to the office. At this point, we had 2 stories. Both of them could be true. Both of them could be lies. There was no way of knowing. In the meantime, it was merely a matter of checking. Until it could be proved one way or the other, there was little action we could take. 2:15 p.m. Frank and I checked back into the office, and I put in a call to the storage house.
Yes, sir.
I'll wait while you're checking, huh?
I don't know, Joe. Sure seems like the old guy is telling the truth.
Well, we check this out, we'll know one way or the other.
Such a nice little guy. Seems hard to believe that he'd do anything wrong.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What was that? Uh-huh. Could you tell me when? What was the name? Mm-hmm. That's right. Yes, sir. All right. Uh-huh. Thanks very much. That's Joe Friday. F-R-I-D. Yeah. That's right. Michigan 5211, extension 2521. Right. All right. Thanks again.
How about it?
He stored the furniture, all right.
Yeah.
I remembered him. Talked to him a couple of weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Told him to sell everything. We drove out to the storage house and talked to the owner. He said that Schroeder had called them out to pack the furniture, and then he ordered it stored. A week later, he called back and told them to dispose of all the furnishings and personal effects. We called Schroeder's bank, and they told us that there'd been no large withdrawals on the date of her disappearance. Also, she'd drawn no checks since. We got in touch with the other children, and they verified their sister's story. They all said that the father was hard to live with and had on several occasions struck Mrs. Schroeder. They told us that it was possible that she had left her husband, but that she would certainly have gotten in touch with one of them if she had. They said that as far as they knew, Mrs. Schroeder was in good health, and she was in good condition mentally. One of the daughters said that they were planning on a shopping trip to buy school clothes for one of the grandchildren. The woman went on to say that as far as she knew, Mrs. Schroeder would not have left without saying something to her about not being able to keep the appointment. We got in touch with Ella Randall. She said that she would like to accompany us when we talked to the neighbors of the Schroeder woman. She said that she could point out her mother's friends and that she would be able to trace her mother's movements about the neighborhood for us. 4:15 p.m. We picked her up. We talked to the neighbors, and they told us of hearing loud voices coming from the house. They said that Mr. Schroeder was always angry at his wife, and he made no attempt to hide it. 7:30 p.m. We went on to talk to the people who had rented the Schroeder home.
Come on in.
Thank you very much, Mr. Armstrong. It's my partner, Frank Smith. This is Mrs. Randall.
Yes, Mrs. Randall, I've met before. How are you, Mrs. Randall?
How are you, Mr. Armstrong?
Oh, what's this all about?
We'd like to ask you some questions about the Schroeders, if we could.
Well, Mrs. Randall here would be able to answer them better for you. They're her parents.
Well, yes, sir. We'd like some information from you, if we could.
All right, go ahead. Don't think there's much I can tell you.
Did you see Mrs. Schroeder when you rented the house?
No, come to think about it, I didn't. Mr. Schroeder talked about her, but I didn't see her when we took the house.
Uh-huh. How'd Mr. Schroeder act when you rented the place?
I don't think I understand.
Well, did he seem upset? Anything at all unusual about him?
As a matter of fact, there was.
What was that, sir?
Well, the house was kind of old. You know, paint missing from some of the woodwork. Some of the paper was a little faded, and we asked him if he planned to fix it up before we moved it. You know, if he'd foot the bill.
Yes, sir, we understand.
Well, right away, I kind of expected an argument. He just seemed like that kind of a guy. You know, who wouldn't spend a nickel he didn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't like that. Just smile and say anything that we wanted, he'd have done. Real nice. Sure hasn't caused any trouble. Of course, there's no reason for him to. We pay the rent on time, take care of the lawn, the flowers. I think we're pretty good tenants.
Sure is a difference. Never looked like this when we lived here. I remember that Mama would ask him to paint the place a little. Always raise the roof. Said there wasn't any reason to do it. Said to wait until the kids were grown and appreciated a house.
Not like that with us.
Well, he was with his own family. Even when we were gone, after we left the house, he said that there wasn't any reason to fix the place up. Said that Mama and him were the only people who ever saw the inside of it, and it didn't matter to them.
Like I said, couldn't ask for a better landlord.
Well, I kind of hate to ask this.
Yeah?
Well, I wondered if I could see the rest of the house. I'd kind of like to see what he did to it.
Well, I guess it's okay. It won't take too long. I gotta eat pretty quick. Got a bowl tonight. Team's playing the league championship tonight.
But just a look. I won't keep you.
Okay. Well, you know the house.
Yes.
This is the living room. Bedrooms are down the hall. This is dining room.
Oh, pretty paper. It made Mama so happy to have this.
Here's a bath.
All new tile. Just beautiful.
Yeah, it makes it nice.
Mm.
It's a master bedroom.
This was Papa's room. Sure is nice. Oh, look at the pretty curtains.
Those are ours. We said he'd put drapes in every one of them, but
Oh.
Sally, it's a wife. She likes curtains.
Uh-huh. I do, too.
Use this for the oldest boy.
This was Mom's room. Oh, it's just beautiful. That's a beautiful carpet.
Yeah, he put that in, too. Didn't even have to ask for that. It's his own idea.
Wall-to-wall carpeting. Mama always wanted it.
The only room in the house that has it.
Do you have a cellar in this house, Mr. Armstrong?
Yeah. We use it for the freezer. Sally puts up canned goods in the summer. Keep them down there.
Wonder if we could see it, please.
Sure, but there isn't any change down there. He didn't do anything to the cellar.
Yes, sir. It's all right, though. We'd like to see it.
Oh, sure. Like to make it fast, though. I gotta eat, you know.
Yes, sir. We understand. It won't take very long here.
Sure, it's down this way. Had to run electricity down there for the freezer. I guess he'd have done it, but it was just an extension cord. Thought about having it done permanently, but no real reason to.
I understand.
I'll go ahead and get the light.
Yes, sir. You want to wait here, Miss Randall?
Why?
Well, no reason, ma'am. We just thought it might be better.
Well, all right. I'll wait in the living room.
All right, thank you. Come on, Frank.
Yeah.
Not very big, just room enough for the freezer and a few shelves.
Uh-huh. Cement floor, huh?
Yeah.
Frank?
Yeah?
You want to swing that light up here? I want to check something here.
Oh, sure.
What's this room under, Mr. Armstrong? I mean, what's above it?
Let's see. That'd be the master bedroom about to there.
Uh-huh.
The room next would begin there.
Uh-huh. That'd be Mrs. Schroeder's room, wouldn't it?
From what Mrs. Randall said, yeah.
Uh-huh. You got a piece of paper, sir? I like to get up on the freezer. I don't want to scratch it here.
Why, something you want?
Well, I just like to look. Have a piece of paper, cardboard, anything, cloth?
I don't see any. Go ahead. Just don't scrunch your feet around. It'll be all right.
All right, sir. All right, Frank. Swing the light around, will you?
Yeah. What is it, Joe?
I'm not sure. You got your flash?
Yeah, here you go.
Okay.
What is it? What do you see up there?
They better call the crime lab and get them out here.
What is it?
See through the flooring up there.
Yeah?
Looks like blood.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. All over America, smokers are changing to Chesterfield because Chesterfield is the first and only cigarette with premium quality throughout, in both regular and king size.
King size Chesterfield contains tobaccos of better quality and higher price than any other king size cigarette. Well, that's certainly important to every king size smoker. Of course, it's the same fine tobacco as in regular Chesterfield.
So remember, the modern way to sell cigarettes is the Chesterfield way. First and only cigarette with premium quality throughout, in both regular and king size.
Chesterfield is much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
8:14 p.m. The crime lab was called, and they came out to go over the place. A benzodine test was run on the stains, and it was proved that they were blood stains. The carpet in the bedroom was removed, and additional stains were uncovered. Frank and I checked the cellar floor, but it was solid, and there was no evidence that any part of it had been torn up. A preliminary check was made of the yard, but we found nothing. The next morning at 7:58 a.m., we called the crime lab. They'd finished their investigation and told us that the stains were made by human blood. 8:10 a.m., Frank and I drove out to the house to continue our investigation.
Boy, it's going to be a scorcher.
Yeah, it looks that way. Did you check that corner of the yard over there?
Yeah, doesn't look like anything's been disturbed.
Well, let's talk to the neighbors again. There's got to be an answer someplace.
Okay. You know, I'm going to tell Faye to get me some of those shirts with the holes in them.
What do you mean, holes in them?
You know, like they wear back east. Little bitty holes between the material. That way you don't get so hot.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute, Joe.
What?
There's something on the grass over there by the rose bed.
Oh, it's probably a locket or something one of the kids dropped. A toy, maybe.
Yeah, I'll get it. Give it back to Armstrong.
What do you got?
Piece of dental bridge work. Looks like it's been in a fire.
The crime lab was called, and they went over the backyard. They checked the incinerator, and under a large heap of ashes, they found several pieces of bone. They took a sample of the ash back to the lab to examine it. We got in touch with the daughter, Mrs. Randall. We got the address of Mrs. Schroeder's dentist. Frank and I drove out to talk to him. We showed him the piece of dental bridge work that we'd found, and he identified it as positively belonging to Mrs. Schroeder. He showed us the card from his files, which gave the date that he'd installed the bridge. 11:56 a.m. We called the crime lab, and Lieutenant Lee Jones told us that the ash and the particles of bone that he'd recovered could be of human origin. 12:15 p.m. We drove out to the apartment and took Henry Schroeder into custody. We talked to him in the interrogation room.
I don't understand all this. None of it makes any sense.
Well, it's pretty simple, Schroeder.
Simple? You say that I killed Bertha, and you say it's simple. How can you say that? Why do you say that? You must have a reason. I've told you all I know.
A couple of things you didn't tell the truth about, sir.
What?
You said that just before your wife left you, she made a large withdrawal from your account, didn't you?
That's right, she did. She did take some money.
Well, in checking your bank account, we found no record of any such withdrawal.
You've got no right to go through my bank account. You've got no right.
This is a murder investigation, Schroeder. We've got a right to clear it up.
But she did take the money. She did. You've got to believe me.
It's a little hard to do, Schroeder. Since your wife disappeared, she hasn't drawn any money out of your account. Before that, she drew checks to pay the local store bills. Now, how do you explain that?
I can't. I don't know what you're trying to say. I don't know what you're trying to get me to say.
We're trying to get you to say the truth, that's all.
But I am.
You said you put all the furniture from your house in storage. Now, is that right?
Yes, I said that.
Mm-hmm. You said you wanted to keep it in case your wife came back and you two started all over again?
Yes, that's the truth.
We checked the storage company. They told us you called them and ordered everything sold. Told them to sell it as soon as possible. Now, how do you explain that?
You're getting me so confused, I can't think.
And we checked the house, the one where you and your wife lived. We found bloodstains, lots of them. They're human blood.
I don't know. I don't know.
People who live there now said that you put a carpet over the floor. Only room in the house that has a carpet. They say it was your idea.
I can't think. I don't know what you're saying.
Well, here's a report here. Take a look at it. It's a list of the things we found in your incinerator. Things that were burned. Now, do you want to read it, or do you want me to read it to you? How about it, Schroeder?
Schroeder?
I didn't mean it. 30 years. 30 years married. I didn't mean to do it. I came home late. Real late. I'd been drinking. We had words. I hit her. I don't know what happened. I knew what I was doing. I kept hitting her. Then she was dead. I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to. She turned the kids against me. Turned everybody against me. 30 years married. She turned everybody against me.
I'm afraid you got it wrong, mister.
Huh?
You did that yourself.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 10th, trial was held in Department 87, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, remember this. Chesterfield is the first and only cigarette with premium quality throughout, in both regular and king size. And Chesterfield is a cigarette that gives scientific evidence of real smoking pleasure. So try Chesterfields today. Either way, regular or king size. Chesterfield is much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Henry Rudolph Schroeder was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. He was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the State Penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, June Whitley, Harry Bartell. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show Tuesday night on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield, regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.